check 1 2 3 4. Mic check 1 2 3 4.
Welcome to the Volusia County Council meeting. The meeting will begin in 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Welcome to the Volusia County Council meeting. The meeting will begin in 2 minutes.
will call the January 8th, 2026 Volusia County Council meeting to order at 9:03. In just a minute, I will ask you to stand if you care to stand for the invocation. We do not have a minister to lead us this morning, so we will just have a moment of silence, and then we'll go directly into the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would stand with me. Carissa, would you call the roll?
Mr. Robbins,
Here.
Mr. Santiago,
Here.
Mr. Dempsey, Mr. Johansson, Mr. Kent, Mr. Reinhardt,
Here.
Mr. Brower.
Here. Councilman Kent is not here today, which is very unusual. He's had a family emergency, and we will go along without him today. Public participation, do we have any? Okay, when I call your name, just come to the podium here. There is a button on your left that will raise it up and down. We need the microphone to be right at your mouth so that everyone can hear you. You will have 3 minutes to talk about anything that applies to the county, something that we might be able to act on in the future. First up this morning is Keith Chester. And if you would also tell us where you're from, you don't need to give your entire address for safety reasons, but just tell us what city, what part of the county you're from so that your representative knows.
We ready?
Yes.
Keith Chester, DeLand. As we enter into the new year, I want you to start thinking about our young people and the harm we've done to them. In the early 80s, the first-time homebuyers' age was in the 20s, early 20s. Currently, the first-time homebuyers' ages are between 38 and 40. Why is that? It has to do with affordability. I bought my first home when I was in my early 20s on a small-town police officer's salary here in Volusia County. Since then, we've added thousands in impact fees. We've transferred our burdens for us older, more established people to our young people through Save Our Homes. Currently, I pay about $1,000 a year. Somebody buying my house, a young person, would pay between $4,000 and $5,000. It's not fair. We've transferred our burdens. County of Volusia added Volusia County Fire Services in 1984, which before that was mostly volunteer. Volusia County took beaches over in 87. Cultural funding was started in 89. 2000, we had started ECHO. 2000, we started Forever. 2000, started the Children and Families Funding here in Volusia County. 2007, Sunrail was adopted. 2012, we took over EVAC. 2018, Amendment 10 was passed, and those constitutional officers have now increased our budgets drastically, and we need to do something about it. It's got to stop. In 2001, the county adopted a 10% public service tax on utilities. Last month alone, mine was $27. That directly impacts the homeownership. We have a gas tax. It was started in 99, in 86, 6 cents, and 99, 5 cents. 2005, ad valorem taxes added for capital improvements for schools, and half-cent sales tax added for essentially the same thing for schools in 2001. And we must not forget, we have 3 hospital authorities in Volusia County that now take about $50 million a year out of our economy, and they're funded through property taxes. And through those, we're actually paying, in some cases, for a health card program that funds health care for those who are here illegally. It's got to stop. We need reform. We're killing our children. It's not fair to them. Let's start thinking about our young people and quit being so damn selfish.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Ponce Inlet Town Council member Skip White. Welcome, Skip. Welcome also to the Supervisor of Elections I see sitting over there. Thank you for coming, Lisa.
Skip White, Ponce Inlet Town Council. Happy New Year to Volusia County Council and staff. I'm here today representing the residents of Ponce Inlet and Ponce Inlet Council. On behalf of all of us, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for your invaluable help and support with the North Beach Renourishment Project. We especially personally want to thank Jessica Niles for your outstanding leadership and unwavering support throughout this effort. This project, which is now nearing completion, certainly had its ups and downs. It sparked numerous calls and emails from residents filled with questions and concerns. But no matter what, I could always depend on getting a quick, reliable response from you both. These answers might not always have been the ones that made our residents happy, but they were always factual and transparent. And what I truly appreciate is my calls and emails would go out no matter the time of day or even the day of the week, including Saturdays and Sundays. I'd get a quick, prompt response every time. Thank you for that level of dedication. It made all the difference. In my view, the project's success boiled down to 3 key ingredients: work, trust, and communication. You might wonder why I put communication third. Well, it's simple. If you don't have trust, you can communicate all you want, but no one will truly listen. To wrap up, I want to share a quick story that captures the real impact of your work. When our beaches finally reopened to Volusia County residents for walking both north and south, a familiar face approached my wife Jane and me during our morning walk. This resident, whom we used to see every day, had a huge smile on her face. She said, "My heart has been blocked, but now it's open." In that moment, it hit me. This isn't just about sand and dunes. It's about restoring joy, connection, and the sense of freedom we all cherish. Again, thank you, Volusia County, for making this possible. We couldn't have done it without you. Happy New Year and continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Skip. Patty Gartenbach.
Does this work?
Yes,
Can
it
you hear me?
does.
Okay, good. Good morning, Chairman, Councilman, and County staff. My name is Patty Gertenbach from Ormond Beach. I purchased my home in Volusia County in 2005 after considering homes from Key West to Flagler Beach. My husband and I decided on Volusia County for many reasons, chief among them the beaches and abundance of green spaces. I don't know the background of all of you, but I know at least some of you were lucky enough to grow up here in Volusia County. While I have enjoyed and benefited from having the opportunity to live in many places across the United States, I count my lucky stars that I ended up here. As I learned about Volusia County, I learned that we all, you and I, have several past leaders to thank for preserving this special place, such as Doris Leeper, Reed Hughes, and of course Walter Boardman, who we can thank for saving the Loop, a special area that draws hundreds of people and tourist dollars here each year. I have written to all of you from time to time, but this is my first time speaking at the council meeting. I came here today because of an item I saw on the workshop agenda. I don't envy you guys what you have ahead of you at the workshop this afternoon. Perhaps it would save you all time if you just crossed off the first item on potential goals. In perpetuity means forever. When I, along with the majority of the voters, approved continuing Volusia forever, it was with the understanding that you would be protecting these lands forever. You would be protecting our drinking water supply and lands that are used for flood control forever. It is with the understanding that I understand that the partnerships and appraisals are based on the land being protected forever. It's easy to forget sometimes with all the pressures you have to consider with today's budgets and goals. But I urge you to keep in mind past community leaders that did what was right to preserve our community for us today and for future generations. Leaders that recognized Volusia County is blessed with environments that offer unique sources of pride and revenue. Our wetlands, springs, rivers, lakes, aquifer, beaches, forests, estuaries, and marshlands. Volusia Forever is a moneymaker. Imagine what our community would be like if we didn't protect our drinking water supply. What will happen to our tax base if areas continue to flood? Volusia Forever is a critical tool in protecting our aquifer and floodplains. I point this out because Volusia Forever is intimately tied to our quality of life and safety. I urge you, please do not mess with Volusia Forever. A majority of your constituents voted for it. It more than pays for itself in both tangible and intangible ways. Its criteria are based on well-established criteria used by other state and federal agencies. Volusia Forever is a promise to your constituents that the land will be preserved forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Wonderly.
Good morning and Happy New Year. My name is Steve Wonderly. I live in Daytona Beach, and I'm also speaking regarding Volusia Forever. I was the Political Action Committee agent of record, the PAC agent, in 2020 for the Echo Volusia Forever campaign, which worked to reauthorize Volusia Forever and Volusia Echo. I also had a hand in building the campaign website that explained Volusia Forever and Volusia Echo to the public. We went to great pains to make sure that the issue was clear. The public understood, and they voted in favor. It's a big deal when people vote in favor of taxing themselves, even when it's a small amount like it is with Volusia Forever. But when people understand that they'll come out ahead by having the tax, that the benefits that it will yield are more than worth it, then you get what you saw with Volusia Forever, over 75% support. Part of what convinced people to vote for Volusia Forever was the forever part. If the proposal had been merely to protect land temporarily, the vote would have turned out very differently. But as it was, people understood that voting for Volusia Forever meant protecting sensitive land forever. The prices paid for the land and the conservation easements under the program have been based on the premise that the land would be held and protected in perpetuity. The people voted to tax themselves, understanding that the land purchased would be protected in perpetuity. To change that after the fact, after the people have voted, would be to pull a bait and switch. Please don't even consider doing that. Please stand by the promise made to the people to protect Volusia Forever lands forever. Thank you.
Thank you. John Nicholson. There you are. You switch seats.
John Nicholson, Daytona Beach side. I don't know what I missed, but I don't know what they're talking about for the Volusia Forever. Daytona Beach, as you know, contributes, $20 million or so to this event, and we don't get a dime back, but I absolutely consider Volusia Forever is forever. Secondly, I don't know if any of you all have noticed that A1A is being worked on over on the beach side. They've replaced all the trees with signage. I think someone told me there's 38 crossings planned. There are 28 signs per crossing, so that'll be over 1,000 some odd signage. So there'll be no landscaping down A1A from now on. It will all be signage, and it is ugly. So if you get a chance, go to the core area. That's all you see is signage. It is terrible. It's really ugly. You thought that curvature was bad? Wait till you see the signage. And then they took all the landscaping out that they had just put in and put in asphalt and striped it, so you can't park there. So all you see is all this land with asphalt signage, striped. Secondly, with regard to Daytona Beach, I've been coming for years telling you to take a look at it. You've looked at it. Stacy looked at it. One, the P card, it's not an issue, all right? It's 30 years old. It has to do with the wordage. People were allowed to buy excessive lunches. We've known that for 20 years. It's about time we looked at it, but it's no big deal. Nobody's been stealing lots of money. One was like $1.95. To me, that's not a big amount. The slush fund and the money from COVID, now that's a different story. We may end up with people going, I hope, go to jail over misspending it. All right? But that's coming down the pike. The reefs, David is the only one that has even given a glimmer of recognition that there is a need to block this water before it hits the shore. There's no sense in replacing that sand year after year after year. That's expensive. The whole idea of a barrier reef is it protects the land beyond it. The reefs that we put offshore would protect our tourist industry, our homes that are on the ocean. So I would ask that we look at that very carefully, where we could put reefs and how we would place them. And lastly, pay attention to Daytona Beach's lawsuit for the ACLU. We have 20,000 new people in Daytona Beach that are all stuck in one zone. We have one zone that is half the entire city with 30,000 people in it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Nard.
Good morning. I'm Chris Nard, and I'm the CEO of a business called Fortify Financial. We operate in the state of Florida, and we are a PACE financier in the state. We operate under a business called the Florida PACE Funding Agency, which is a special district that allows us to write this business and bond it. In 2022, they were granted a judicial bond validation that allowed them to write statewide. We started in Volusia County in 2023, had tremendous demand, and received hundreds of applications right out of the chute. Volusia and the Volusia tax collector objected to this. Fortify stopped writing, but not before we had financed roughly 100 properties for several million dollars in Volusia. And what we do is hurricane hardening improvements. Volusia and the tax collector objected, along with some other counties, sued in the second district where the judicial validations are issued to have it overturned. The court ruled in favor of the Florida PACE Funding Agency, said they had to be put on the tax roll. Everybody still objected and appealed it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled on December 12th, 18th, something in there, and again ruled in the FPFA's favor and said the assessments had to be on the tax roll. Now that this has run its course in the court system in Florida, this has been hugely expensive for Fortify. I'm sure it's been hugely expensive for the taxpayers to finance these lawsuits. And it's been disruptive to the homeowners that don't have their payments on the tax bill. We'd love to get this behind us. And we'll do anything we can to work with Volusia County to do this. Now, you handled it very well, probably better than anybody else, because when this occurred, you sent a letter to all of the property owners that said, you have this obligation, we're not going to put it on the tax roll. You may be contacted to pay it directly, and it may appear on your tax roll at a later date. Nobody else did that, so it was handled much better here. Of these 70 or 80 transactions that are not on the tax roll, only about 30% of the people that have paid directly. So we need to try to get these on the tax bill before this next cycle, because we don't want homeowners to continue to fall behind. Because when they do, there's less of a chance that the mortgage company will pay the escrow and the taxes and catch everybody up. And when they don't do that, if that's what occurs, it'll be a difficult situation for all. So again, thank you. You guys handled it well. The court system has run. This has been hugely expensive, and we'd love to put it behind us at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Peterson?
Thank you. Chris Peterson for Fortify. Just to make one more comment, the fact that the Supreme Court did uphold the lower court's ruling does not mean that we can operate here without an ILA. So we did, once y'all said we don't want you here, we stopped. We actually then went and took our bill that we were already working on. We added a home rule clause. We took it to Tallahassee under SB 770, fought for that, and ended up getting that passed. That passed on July 1 of 2024. So from that point forward, we need to have an ILA, and we kind of fall that under, if you don't want us here, we don't want to be here, right? If this isn't something you want to, PACE financing that does, new roofs and hurricane improvements, if that's not something that you want to offer for your residents, that's fine. So we're not going to operate here anymore. However, that doesn't mean that those assessments that were originated during that period aren't valid, because that was proven to be true. So again, really looking forward to resolving this issue, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Patricia Miles?
Mr. Chairman, point of order. The clapping is disrupting the meeting in his commentary. So if we could address it, it's unnecessary. He's not being recognized to speak or to address the audience.
Okay.
Thank you.
Patricia Miles.
Good morning, Chairman Brower and the esteemed council members here. I am Patricia Miles. I live in Port Orange, Florida. I have been an arts advocate for 60 years. I am here today to speak on behalf of the Volusia County Cultural Alliance and also to speak on behalf of our marginalized populations, our children and our seniors. It is devastating that the impact of the zero grant monies has created. Our citizens, your constituents, have fewer arts participating learning events available at this time because of the lack of the release of the promised grant funding. They are limited by time schedules, adequate placement arts venues, and they need local arts teachers who are creative, well-trained, skilled at building relationships, and capable of making long-term commitments to our local programs. Our cultural arts organizations continue to try to provide their arts opportunities. We were blindsided and are now forced to find invisible heroes to offer financial funding and connect with local partners. These situations require significant time and financial adjustments. We are trying every day to create infrastructures to make everything work. Funding like this is often unstable, and success hinges on leadership connections and political prowess. And it takes time and long-term commitment to our agenda. These necessary arts opportunities continue to provide your constituents a sense of belonging, identity affirmation, and skill development. They establish artful sanctuaries in our communities and bring a sense of aesthetic to our county. They offer holistic factors for both mental and physical health, creating life satisfaction. They provide creatives for our technologies, They provide creatives for our communities and foster generative connections where creativity and technology intersect. They teach all of us to acknowledge, affirm, and celebrate the past, present, and future of all of our citizens. VCCA will be sending out another survey this late spring regarding the arts and funding. We would appreciate it, you taking the time to return it to us so that we can share the results with all of the voters in Volusia County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Adam Maker.
Adam Macker, DeBerry, Florida. You know, part of our problem here is none of you actually give a fuck about what any of us are saying. And Mr. Brower, before you comment, let me tell you, that is constitutionally protected speech.
I know it is. I would ask you just to have respect for the
I have
people in the
respect.
room, though.
I have respect for everybody here, except for you, sir. You want to know why? I came here with every intention when I came here was to diss this man. I swear to God it was. I was waiting for Donald Dempsey to do something so I could make fun of him. But unfortunately for all of you, looks like Albert Einstein sitting next to the rest of you, especially you, Mr. Brower, and Dum Dum that's not here today.
You're welcome, Don.
You are welcome, Don. You know, I guess you didn't receive my complaint. I've already submitted a complaint against Mr. Kent about 3 weeks ago. I'm assuming that's why he's not here today, because he contested me on constitutionally protected speech, and you thanked him for it. I'm lucky to be alive right now because of a murder plot in my life. I'm here speaking about it in front of the county, and you thanked Mr. Kent for basically shaming me and curtailing my speech. So I'm here for one reason, and that is to accept your apology. If you apologize to me today, right now, I won't sue the shit out of you. If you do, I will sue your ass. So the floor is yours, sir.
I have nothing to say.
Have a great one.
Thank you. Lloyd Bowers.
Well, let me first start by saying Happy New Year.
It's so nice to see a calm face.
Thank you, Chairman. Lloyd Bowers, Daytona Beach, Florida. Chairman Brower, council members, I'm here to respectfully ask this council to reconsider your decision to deny funding for the current cycle for cultural grant applications, the process you approved on February 18th, 2025, and for which, based upon your decision, the Cultural Council accepted the grant applications, held its hearing, scored the applications, and then were presented to you for approval. You've heard all of the arguments over the past year about economic engines, educational partners, community builders. I'm not here to speak about that. By setting aside the scored recommendations for the current grant cycle and refusing to approve those recommendations, we risk undermining the integrity of every county grant process and the expectations of residents who rely on the programs that are offered. Many of these organizations, as Ms. Miles just said, have already budgeted for the year based on the established timeline. They've planned performances, exhibitions, youth programs, community events that reach thousands of residents and visitors. Without this funding, some of those programs simply are not going to happen. Now, I understand that budgets are tight and priorities must be weighed carefully, but the Cultural Council's revised program, which you approved on February the 18th, should be honored. If you overturn that process, it sends a message that even when organizations follow every rule, meet every requirement, and earn the scores, the outcome can still be dismissed. That uncertainty discourages participation, weakens our cultural sector, and ultimately harms the county. Today, I'm asking you simply to restore the funding for this grant cycle as recommended, not simply because these organizations deserve it, but because the process deserves it. Please reconsider your decision, and thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Morgan, Danny?
He removed his speaker card.
Cameron Vinron?
Good morning, Chair, Council, and staff. My name is Cameron Vinson. I am the Vice President of the Volusia County Cultural Alliance. I am also the Executive Director of Art House Foundation. Hi, guys. Happy New Year. It's been a while. I know you missed me. I just wanted to speak to you today about, drumroll, the cultural grant. I understand that you have a large amount of responsibility on your shoulders. However, I think that there's an aspect of this grant and the process that maybe has been overlooked. We're fighting for the young families. We're fighting for the children and other taxpayers that benefit from this program. We've given you state-cited numbers, the return on investment. You guys make 100% return on investment in taxpayer funds. And that's not anything to do with the amount of free and reduced services that we provide for your residents that can't afford it. Let's look at the youth aspect. Every single one of you, I know, has been involved in a municipality meeting where there are kids going crazy. They're feral. I have to start next week the calls to over 217 families to let them know that their scholarships will not be available this year. These children their families cannot afford to send them to another camp, cannot afford to send them anywhere. And so they stay at home while their parents are at work. What do you think they're going to be doing? They're not going to be volunteering their time. These programs, especially for the youth, work to strengthen our younger generation, to put them on the right track, and to prevent any juvenile delinquency. We instill value. Not everyone is a sports kid. These programs are important and vital, especially to our poverty-stricken families in Volusia County who voted for you. They can't afford to send their kids to camp. They can't afford these programmings that bring joy and life to our residents, to these children. I understand that money is tight, and I understand that you are trying to find funding for this motocross facility, but please, I need to challenge you right now. Before you take your word back and before you chop this, I challenge each of you to read at least 5 of the applications. Your appointed cultural council has read all 33. Read 5, some of you 4 each, before you make this decision. Please, and go to your financial advisor. Take the state-cited numbers that we've given you and ask them if this is a smart way to cut off this revenue building and revenue earning program that has been so successful and has helped so many residents. We're not asking for handouts. We're asking to help the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. Julia Trujillo.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Julia Trujillo, Daytona Beach. Cameron did not mention, and I wanted to quickly say that in response to Councilman Santiago's challenge way back when, the VCCA and its partners put together a food drive that raised over $1,000 for Second Harvest and submitted to local charities multiple tons of useful food. So we are pleased and to report that, and also to let you know that our partners are working with their community to keep everyone strong. This morning, I just want to read quickly into the record of email that you all received from Ellen Wintermuth of Cinematique Daytona. Dear members of Volusia County Council, I am writing to strongly urge the Council to immediately restore, allocate, and increase funding for Volusia County arts and culture grants. The current proposed amount of $611,000 is inadequate, and the continued delay in allocation is already causing real harm to community-based cultural organizations across the county. Arts and culture funding is not optional, symbolic, or expendable. These grants support year-round public programming, education, tourism, workforce participation, and small nonprofit sustainability. When funding is withheld or underfunded, programs are canceled, staff hours are cut, partnerships dissolved, and communities lose access to affordable cultural experiences. The county's cultural organizations planned their seasons and budgets in good faith based on the county's longstanding commitment to these grants. Leaving funds unallocated while organizations are expected to operate responsibly is not fiscal prudence. It is destabilizing. Moreover, holding arts and culture funding at $611,000 or treating it as negotiable fails to keep pace with inflation, population growth, and demonstrated public demand. Arts organizations deliver a measurable return on investment. They generate economic activity, attract visitors, activate downtowns, and enhance Volusia County's quality of life. They do this with modest public support, strict reporting requirements, and a long record of accountability. To underfund or delay this program undermines years of successful public policy. Volusia County has publicly stated its commitment to development, tourism, and livable communities. Those priorities cannot be met while arts and culture funding is minimized or sidelined. Restoring and increasing arts and culture funding above $611,000 is not only reasonable, it is necessary. I respectfully but firmly call on the council to release arts and culture grant funds and increase the allocation. Arts organizations are ready to serve. What they need now is a county government willing to honor its commitments. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter. Sincerely, Ellen Wintermuth, Orange City.
Thank you for your comments. Catherine Pante.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here today to ask that Volusia Forever program remain fully intact, exactly as voters approved it. Volusia Forever is not a council-created policy. It is a voter-approved program, passed and renewed by the voters of Volusia County. The public was clear. We voted for conservation, we voted for the approved millage rate, and we voted for this program to exist in perpetuity. The council should not have the authority to reduce millage, weaken the program, or modify it into something less than what voters approved. Doing so disregards the will of voters and undermines trust in our local government. Conservation matters deeply in this community. Volusia Forever protects our water, wildlife, farmland, and natural spaces. Resources that once lost cannot be replaced. That is why voters chose to support this program twice. The message from residents is simple and consistent. Protect Volusia Forever, fully fund it, and honor the vote. I urge this council to respect the will of the people and ensure that Volusia Forever remains intact exactly as approved for today and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Melissa Lammers. Okay, same with Nancy Vaughn. Thank you. Thank you. Then it looks like that concludes the public participation for the opening segment of the meeting. We'll move to item 1. I'll ask the council for their approval of the agenda as written.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt, second by Councilman Robbins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Don, did you vote on that to approve the agenda? That's approved unanimously, 6-0. Item 2, Resolution 2026, Organization of the Volusia County Council.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Second is by Councilman Danny Robbins. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion, that item is approved 6-0. Item 3. Resolution election of county council vice chair for 2026. And for this item, I'm going to do something unusual and move the gavel to the current vice chair so that I can also make a motion. Councilman Robbins.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to nominate our at-large Representative Jake Johansson for Vice Chair 2026.
Okay, Jake Johansson. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Jake Johansson, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by David Santiago. Any other nominations?
I will make an unusual nomination because I've learned that there's no term limits on vice chair. I would like to nominate Matt Reinhardt for vice chair again in recognition of the excellent job that you've done so far.
Thank you. Nomination for Matt Reinhardt by Councilman Brower. Do I hear a second?
Second, Johansson, definitely.
Second, Johansson. Any other nominations?
I don't have a problem with either one of you guys. You say no. I don't know how we would handle the vote though, unless
Look
somebody,
at our legal. Handle the first one first.
So you have two nominations. You can
Yes.
make a motion to select one of them if you wish.
I'd
or-
rather not do a vote on one of you in the denial. I
So
think
can we get a
maybe-
motion to accept one?
Who cares?
Where are we again?
We just need a motion to accept one of the nominations.
I'd make a motion to accept Matt Reinhardt.
I'm okay with the man Reinhardt.
Motion made by Mr. Brower for myself and seconded by David Santiago.
Third by Johansson.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Matt. Yes. Okay. He's got a good haircut.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Jake.
Toss it back. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, item 4, resolution adopting 2026 County Council meeting schedule. Before we start this, there's 2 names up. I think they're old. Okay. George, I'll recognize you. Your name was up first.
Yeah, we put in the proposal, based on the standard 2 meetings per month. But however, this council in the past has elected to only have 1 meeting in July and 1 meeting in December. So I just want to point that out, that if you want to make changes based on what's proposed, of course, that's fine with us. Also point out that there's in September, we have slightly changed off of our normal scheduling to accommodate the school board for when it comes to budget, which we have to do. And then I would also point out that I think 2 of our meetings fall on election days coming up this year. So you got your August, the second meeting in August falls on a primary, and of course the November meeting falls on the election day. So just want to point that out for your discussion.
Okay, Councilman Johansson, you have questions for staff or?
No comments, I'll wait.
Okay. Councilman Santiago, do you have a question?
I think I have comments.
Okay. Councilman Jake Johansson.
Thank you, sir. I do, obviously, I'm running for election, and August 4th or August 18th and November 3rd, I think my mind would be elsewhere. Having said that, if we can't consider moving that to a different day of the week or a different week, then I can live with having it here. I would probably ask to be excused for one of them, but I would like to consider moving both of those by a day or 2 if possible.
Okay, any comment from the rest of the council? Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no problem with the request. Is there anything that prevents us from doing it on the Monday before? Staff? I know it's a question. Okay. And then the other comment, Mr. Chair.
Let's finish that one. Jake, you rarely miss a meeting. I think it would be fine. I'd rather, unfortunately, have you miss a meeting than change the schedule for one person. That's just my feeling. I do appreciate the fact that you prefer not to miss a meeting. But it gets really confusing to the public when we move the schedule from Tuesdays to another day when they're used to Tuesdays. And so that's just my feeling on that. Okay, Councilman Santiago.
Thank you,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. I don't see it moving it for one meeting. I think the election day is an important day for a lot of people. And also our electorate, people that may want to just prefer to either be campaigning or advocating for something or going out to vote. So I think the reason why we're doing this schedule so early, so it's on notice for everyone to see. So, I mean, I'm interested to see if the council's okay with it, but I guess in order to put closure to this particular part of the request, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for a change for, as of now, to move the August, hold on, I got to get my thoughts straight here.
18th.
The August 18th meeting would be held on August 17th, and the November 3rd meeting held on November 2nd, same time as it would normally be.
Second.
Same times, but we just move it to a Monday, the Monday before. You got a problem with that? So it would be November 2nd and August 17th instead of the 18th and the 3rd. So it'd be on the Monday.
Give him his phone.
Okay, while he's looking, is there any other discussion on
I did
that?
want to add one more thing, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Regarding, I think we've always done, as our county manager has addressed, we've always done July and closest to Christmas. I'm okay with adopting that same theory, the closest days to that. Gives people times in between there also for whatever they want to do pre-holidays or post-holidays.
So December 15th?
To eliminate the 15th and eliminate the 7th as been precedence.
Of July.
July, sorry. Did I?
Second.
Second. And Don, you want me to modify my request and say no court dates also?
Exactly. Thank you.
We can send that to the judges? Good. There we go. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to move August 18th on a Tuesday to August 17th on a Monday, November 3rd on a Tuesday to November 2nd on a Monday, to eliminate December 15th, and to eliminate July 7th. And are there any other questions? Okay, then we'll move to discussion, and I would like to approve this for December 15th and July 7th, but I'm going to have to vote no on this for the moving of August and November. I remember how, I sat up here on election day. It was painful, but I wouldn't have requested to move it for my convenience for election day. Because it's really not about us, it's about the people out there, and I want them to have some consistency in when we meet. So that's my only thought. David,
Jim, I'll just add to that. I agree. I'd seen the date. It was a stressful day for a lot of people in the meeting. But I will say, if anybody had made that request back then, I would have had the same position. It's not about the individual for me. It's about the request overall for everyone, so that's why I'm okay with it. Today, I would have been okay with it last year, too.
okay. So I don't see anybody else that wants to speak on it, so the motion on the floor stands, moving the 18th to the 17th, the 3rd to the 2nd, eliminating December 15th and July 7th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye, and I believe that passes 5-1.
Mr. Brower, can you clarify who is the seconder on that?
You can do all four.
Yeah, okay. Danny.
Councilman Robbins. Okay, we will move to the consent agenda, and I would like to ask to pull item H for a vote. Does any other, Councilman Robbins?
I don't have anything, Chairman. Motion to approve the consent agenda minus item H.
Second.
Before, I probably jumped ahead because I didn't get to ask any other council member if they had an item they would like to move for a vote or just for a comment after the vote. Seeing none, then the motion on the floor is to approve the agenda as written, except for item H, which will be taken separately. And as it turns out, we have a number of participants here, residents who would like to also speak on item H. So the motion is to approve everything but H. Was there a second on that?
Yes, myself.
Vice Chair Matt Reinhardt makes the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the agenda is approved 6-0, except for H. Are you going to talk about item H?
Yes, sir.
You, Gus?
Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. Gus Zambrano, Assistant County Manager, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Council members. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here to speak on item H. It's an amendment to number one to task assignment number 1 with Rebel Group Inc. for public-private partnership consulting services for the motocross and ATV UTV trail riding facility. This item is really about risk management and long-term stewardship of the property in question. It's not selecting an operator or approving a construction. We're not in that phase at this point. This item is also about protecting county land finances and public interest for 30 years. The motocross facility will be delivered through a ground lease that governs county land and public interests for 30 to 40 years. This is a long-term commitment. These agreements succeed or fail based on how well financial assumptions, risk allocation, performance standards are structured at the front end. Rebel Group Americas provides specialized P3 expertise that county staff do not routinely perform: financial modeling, market realism testing, and structuring lease terms that protect the county in the long term.
Gus?
Yes.
Can I just ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
Because I don't think anybody else had questions or any
Absolutely.
any problem with the item. What did we pay Hunden Strategic for their consultation? For which they came back with a $10 million price tag that we refused.
Sure. Have Brad come up and Brad Burbaugh.
Yes, sir. So to add the motocross facility, because we did the feasibility and pro forma, we did not do the needs assessment based on council's direction. It was less than $10,000 to add motocross to the larger Hunden study.
Okay. So we paid Hunden $10,000. They came back with a huge price tag, and we asked that it would be reduced to $3.5 million. How does that change the project? Originally it was a pretty large project with practice tracks, competition tracks, a facility to train people. Is that now reduced to just to what?
Right. Well, that's one of the things we looked at in phase 1 with Rebel Group and staff. That is what is feasible within our constraints. And our constraints primarily being the ECHO funding, which is $3.5 million. That's what we have to work with. So what was found to be the best in the market research that was done, et cetera, interviewing other track operators and developers, et cetera, was that a private sector model with a ground lease was the best approach. Mm-hmm. Basically limiting county involvement financially, but always providing the oversight. So that would be the best model. So that we moved away from the original Hunden idea and how much involvement the county would have. So yes, it reduced the scope of our involvement, putting it more on the private sector, which is, I think is laudable personally. I've been involved in a number of P3 projects, and this is what we're intending to do here. We're trying to bring the expertise where the private sector can do it better than the county or any government can do it. So that limitation was provided by listening to you all, hearing that limit the expenditure the county has, and we did it based on the ECHO funds, which was $3.5 million. Most of those funds, about $2.5 million, were for the purchase of the property, and the remainder has been used in part. There's still $935,000 left, but in the due diligence it's necessary because it's wetlands, and we have to delineate the area that's quote unquote developable for this type of use. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, is the $3.5 million a one-time money from ECHO, or is that yearly or one time?
One time.
Okay. Attorney Michael Dyer, we've talked repeatedly in meetings about liability. You've assured me that we're fine. People would sign a waiver, and I believe this is what I want to be corrected on if I'm wrong, that we would require this private company coming in to have insurance?
Yes, sir. Russ Brown, Deputy County Attorney. That's correct. The agreement requires them to have a certain amount of insurance and to make us an additional insured. I don't know if our risk manager's here now, but
Okay.
yes.
Does anybody know if there's insurance available for a motocross?
I believe there is. The marketplace, I mean, my understanding is they go out and get insurance now at other venues in the state, so the market should dictate that.
Okay. I've talked to various track owners, and they've told me no, they have to go it alone because nobody wants to insure it. So I would like to make sure of that.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, when the RFP proposal goes out, the responses that come back, that would be one of the considerations that somebody would say if they're having a problem with that. And so at that time, we would have to address it.
Okay. I think this will probably pass with the council. I'm just going to, I've gone along with this because I wanted to get the information to see what it would cost, what it would look like, what it would do for the county. And I can't do it anymore. I'm a hard no on this. This is as I see it, a hole into which we're going to continue to ask taxpayers to shovel money because once we've spent $4.6 million for the land, let's cut it in half, 2.3 just for this part of it. We've paid Hunden. Now we're going to pay Rebel a couple $100,000. I think it's going to continue to come back because after spending this much money, we're not just going to walk away from the investment. We're going to keep shoveling money into it. I know that people will bid on it. We've got a local man that owns a track, lives in Ponce Inlet. They were represented here this morning. They weren't even asked about this to get any consultation. They would have given us consultation without expense. We've got Pax Track in Flagler County that hasn't been asked for any expertise on the money involved in a track, the upkeep, the maintenance. It's horrendous, the amount of money that it takes just to maintain a track with irrigation and constant grooming. It's a highly expensive sport, and I haven't found anybody yet that says they're making a profit on this. It's maintained because the people that do it love it. So for me, right now, where we are in the county, we're looking at a huge unknown of how we're ever even going to be funded in the future. What's going to happen with property taxes? There's going to be a change. I'm not willing to take on another expense, even if it is just $3.5 million from ECHO. We're already past that, if we're honest, on what we've done so far. I'm not willing to go into the future with the state telling us, you're on your own. You can't have property taxes. We're not going to fund this. We're not going to fund that. We should be at a point on this dais where we're looking at how can we cut expenses. We've got a year to prepare until this goes to the voters. If it goes on the ballot, I guarantee you voters are they're going to vote to get rid of property taxes. Nobody likes them. Everybody hates them. And so that gives us a huge problem. So that's where I am. I just think we need to cut it here. I'm glad that we bought the land. That land will be a beautiful place for a county park. We've got a very competent park and recreation division. I hope, and I'll lose half the audience here, but I hope that we continue with the plans to have an area that's open for recreational riding for our own residents, Volusia first, and get out of the business of the county thinking that we can go in business. Let's focus on our core responsibilities and not take on another one. So that's where I am, Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I just want to bring a little, what I think would be clarity to what's being portrayed out there. We've already purchased the land, as the chairman said, and those were ECHO funds that we used. So there weren't any general fund dollars that have been allocated from where we're spent yet from the general fund, which it affects our tax roll, as you were cautious about, which I agree with your caution. But for everyone that just heard that, no tax dollars from a general fund went to this. All right, so that's technically irrelevant to where we are at today and the additional monies that are budgeted for this. It will not affect your tax roll. So clarifying that, I'm not a motocross guy. I have nothing against motocross. So I think it's an interesting sport to watch if I want to watch it. When I do watch it, rarely, but it's about, for me, from the beginning, it's about having a diversification of opportunities for our community. We build baseball fields. We build football fields. We build tennis courts. We build pickleball courts, right? And if there's a community here that would benefit from a motocross and you bring in private sector, correct me if I'm wrong, none of the other things that you all pay your tax dollars from have a public-private partnership. Please stop me if I was wrong. This will be the first one where private money will come in to help support it. So, Mr. Chair, it's actually the opposite. It is really a lower risk. Your proposal of saying let's do something for, I think you said Volusia first and have other people, will cost you more money because it'll come from the general funds 100% from the public. So fiscally, this is the best path to go. I appreciate your commentary that said you've had a lot of success in working with P3. So George, thank you for assigning him because he's the man to do this. And it's been the wave of the future for a long time to bring private sector to join government in successful ventures. And the liability thing, that'll be addressed. There's plenty of markets out there if they really look for it. But again, my motive is to apply a diversification for folks, and the property did not come out of tax rolls, folks. Don't be fooled by that. From general fund. And P3 is the way to go. I wish we could do other parks with P3s. What's really happening here, folks, there's an underlying layer, and I'm not accusing you of this, Mr. Chair, you can speak to yourself, but there's an underlying level just to not allow anything in there, right? That's really the underlying thing. But for those that are not familiar with the parcel also, when we bought the parcel, where we're proposing to put this facility has already been damaged. It's not pristine land. I don't want to put a really derogatory word on it, but it's not anything worth keeping the way it is. So we're flipping it to something that the community can use. The remainder of the land will be preserved in conservation. So my last comment to the folks that have that are interested in this topic, genuinely interested with real facts, ask us, because there's a lot of deception out there of what's really happening. And always understand, this is probably more of a statement for everything, understand people's underlying motives and why some people are putting things out there, and don't believe social media. Thank you.
Okay, before we go on, Jake or Don, I've pushed this out of sequence. I thought everyone had questions for Gus. If you both have comments? Okay.
Questions?
Would you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question and a
Then
comment.
how about you, Don? Question or comment, or both?
May have a question following Jake, but then it'd be comment.
Okay, let's do the questions, and then we have 3 people from the public who would like to speak, and then we'll go back to our comments after we hear them. Jake Johansson.
Gus, if we approve this, you know, the chairman brings up some things I don't know to be true or not, but if we have not communicated with local people, and now we have information that there are local people, whether you had that before or not, if we approve this, we don't have to execute right away, right? We can go talk to these 2 people that the chairman brought up, and anybody else local that Don, I'm sure, is aware of if we haven't talked to him yet, prior to executing. And if we find the answers that we need from those 2 people, which may or may not happen, then we can or don't have to execute this task assignment. But if we don't find the answers, then we can go ahead and run with these folks. Is that right?
Yeah, this is an iterative process, and these consultants, Revel, are part of the team that is trying to move this project forward in the best way possible, again, reducing risk and maximizing opportunity. This is not unusual, and this is a phase. We've finished phase 1, we've done an assessment, we've determined the path forward, which I've mentioned is the ground lease. There has been extensive discussions with providers and operators, extensive. We could certainly talk to the 2 mentioned. We have no issue with that. There are more or less successful operators. We will be looking at bids from likely successful operators because they want to expand their operations. So, it's like any business. Some will be successful and some won't, and some will want to move forward and expand and some won't. So, there's many points at which we can sort of stop this or change this. We've explained the options we have in front of us. It is a pretty straightforward option, but at the same time, all the elements that are necessary in a P3, in a public-private partnership, are still there. We still have to make sure that the lease has all the provisions that are clear, that limits our ability or limits liability in the future, make sure that a lot of the analysis and assumptions are clear, and we have the expertise on board. My expertise has been to bring together teams that handle P3s. And I have to tell you that the next phase, which is the competitive phase, is very critical because it can completely turn the project around on a positive way. I've seen where $25 million of bond money was not used because in a competitive situation, a $40 million project by the private sector was provided to the community. So it is not this project, but it's a golf project. So it's a recreational project. And this is what the benefit of each of these stages are. Each of them provide a certain benefit. And as we move forward, we have opportunities to align things. We're never hesitant to get more information because that's exactly what we need, the maximum amount of information. But there's been extensive research done on different providers. So, but we'll absolutely continue to reach out to others.
And my follow-on question is, I know the answer to it, but this is a standard step in the P3 process, in almost every P3 process, yes?
It is a standard step in any kind of partnership, really. I mean, what's been done here, I don't find at all unusual. It's really the scale and the scope of the project that's different. But again, it's like everything else. You want to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. And I would not remove or weaken our ability to maximize the opportunity here. Hence, the assistance of nationally reputable company like Rebel, who's on the line, by the way, if you have any specific questions about their work or of what they've done. But of course, staff is here to talk about it further. But yes, it is a standard step. Normally, you actually have it structured somewhat differently. In my experience, the P3 consultant, through the state piggyback contract, will get a percentage of the value of the project, which is not what I recommend.
Got it.
Yeah.
The chairman mentioned that this is, we're basically going to come back to the pot yet again for the next step and the next step, and we're going to keep coming. Is there any way you can share with us, give us some expectations about what's coming next so we can be familiar with it, so it doesn't, if this gets approved, we don't go, see, you're coming back again.
Right. Well, as far as, we're just talking about these consultants. When you're talking about coming back?
I'm talking about the entire project until we get one. So you got these consultants for $195,000.
That's separate.
What pot of money are you going to ask for next for the next step in this iterative process to get a motocross facility built? If
Right.
that's
I wish I can guarantee you a certain money that you will expend
not
or not
money,
expend.
but what's next?
What's next is, this brings us to contract execution stage, which is basically we'd have a contract with a provider and operator. That's what would be next. That means we would have negotiated what they're going to do based on our expectations through the RFP. That process there are going to be some negotiations there. And we will have to make some decisions about what we're willing and not willing to do at that point.
But we will not ask a consultant to help us with that RFP.
No, that's part of
We'll do
this.
it in-house.
That's part of this.
Part of this.
This brings us, this particular task assignment brings us to contract execution, which is, yeah.
So no more consultants, we'll get no more money from the pot before we start negotiating, we hope.
We are working, we have worked with this consultant to actually reduce their scope and leverage staff to reduce the amount of money being used. Yes, we're cognizant of that. So our intention is not to come back with additional requests for this consultant. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Don?
Yes, questions, please. We're not reinventing the wheel by doing this P3 with a motocross operator, correct?
How do you mean by reinventing the wheel?
Well, there's already one in place in Pasco County, Dade City. That's been going on for 40 plus years.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Successfully.
Right.
I think it's the same operator the whole time. And we've looked into that model.
Yes.
And then there's another one in Punta Gorda, either the city or the county, and that's a motocross public-private partnership, and the owner of that is one of the applicants for this project,
Right.
correct?
Right.
And we've looked into that extensively.
Right.
And then Polk County, they have one.
Right.
Bone Valley. That's a public-private partnership, correct? And the operator of that is one of the ones bidding on our...
It's a public. Bone Valley's public.
Okay, but with one of the applicants for this
Right.
project. So
Right.
we've got two applicants who are already involved.
There are no applicants at this point. We have no applicants.
I mean, I know, but there's people who have spoken here in the
Right.
past about the benefits of this project.
Yes.
So we can only assume maybe they're interested.
Yes.
Also, we have lost several motocross facilities in this area to developers, correct? Tampa motocross facility got bought out by a developer, correct? There was one Spider that got bought. The initial Spider got bought out. Hard Rock that was in Ocala got bought out. These are all motocross facilities that have closed down, correct? And isn't it fair to say that most of them have been bought out by developers?
I could not speak to that with my tenure here. I've been here too short.
You're aware of that?
Yes.
Well, okay, let me cut to the chase then. Where in Volusia County can a dad take his 8-year-old son to go ride a dirt bike legally? Where?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. All right, thank you.
Okay, if that's it with the questions, I'll come back for comments. Let's hear from the members of the public who wanted to speak on this. Connie Colby, followed by Keith Chester, followed by Catherine Pante.
Good morning, Connie Colby, Ormond Beach. This item, I think, should be an agenda item, not just on the consent agenda. It's a highly controversial item. We have no details, very limited opportunity for input from the residents. We're being asked to commit to riding trails, 30-year financial obligation, and public-private partnership without constituents' input. Many or most who voted believe that this should be a private endeavor built on non-conservation land. Regarding the 2020 referendum, whose ballot language is frequently brought up, I refer to page 5 of the entire referendum. An oversight committee was formed in order to ensure the proceeds are used solely to finance acquisition, restoration, construction, and improvement of recreation, historic, and cultural facilities for public use. The county council shall appoint electors to an advisory oversight committee to provide for ongoing review of all projects under consideration and to make recommendations to the county council. The way this project has been forced on the public and excluded from review of the purchased property is a slap in the face to the advisory board, who was commissioned to offer recommendations to the council for all ECHO applications. I have July 10th, 2025, the committee was told that the council had approved money for motocross, being told, and they were told that there were no plans, and since it's a DCE project, neither ECHO or Volusia Forever had to be consulted. I have the review of that from the notes from that meeting. This project was permitted to bypass the evaluation process. There were no plans, timetable, plan for public access and use, cost of the operations or protection of infrastructure, which are requirements. How this has this rebel plan been reviewed by the ECHO committee? That money is being $195,000 from ECHO funds. It should have been reviewed by the ECHO review committee, and I have not seen any proof that that's been done. This plan has gone from BMX to motocross to trail riding and spent or assigned millions of dollars over 3 years.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Keith Chester.
Keith Chester DeLand. To my fellow citizens and neighbors, if you voted for ECHO in the first place and you didn't fully understand the rules and you didn't fully understand that there could be direct expenditures by this county council and that they didn't need to go before that ECHO committee, shame on you. I fought like hell to have a hold put on ECHO going back to the voters in 2020, and few stood beside me. This is one of the reasons why I wanted those rules changed. I saw many deficiencies in the program, and I saw where it could be better. And I saw what the future held for failings, and we've had many of them now. But shame on you for voting for it if you are now upset with where it's going and what it's funding. And for my environmental friends and neighbors who are complaining that it's being placed on environmental land, using ECHO dollars and forever dollars, I say, where in the hell were you when the bulldozers started going through the forest to create bicycle trails? Those bicycle trails were all fine. Most people supported them. But now we're all upset that property that's already disturbed is going to be used for this purpose. I will tell you that I'm not thrilled with the idea of having a motocross facility that's going to cost the taxpayers $3 million. But I wasn't thrilled either for the $3 million that went into the public-private partnership for a pickleball court facility in Holly Hill, and I raised hell about that too, to no avail. And I ask my fellow citizens, where have you been when the money that we invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Dutton House, and then ended up, we got the money back, but we didn't get all the tax dollars back, and it ended up being sold off to a private friend of the single board president years ago. Where were you? You said nothing. Then the DeLand Museum was sold off by the same lady who was the board president of the Dutton House, then the board president of the DeLand Museum, was sold off. The DeLand Museum was sold off to the same investor friends. Where were you? You've been silent. Now all of a sudden you're up in arms over this? I think it's a bunch of BS. You should have been paying attention all along. I'm not for it, but I wasn't for all those other things. Now you need to be paying attention to the Lillian House and what's going on with that project.
Thank you for your
Nobody
comments.
was at the meeting with me complaining about that the other day either.
Keith, time is up. Catherine Pante. Does he have a card in here? Brian White.
Good morning. Thank you, Council. Brian White, New Smyrna Beach. Mr. Chair, Council, I just want to make one clarification for the record. There seems to be an implication that because ECHO funds don't come from the general fund, that taxpayers are somehow not paying for all of this. And that's just not true. ECHO is funded by taxpayers through a voter-approved property tax levy. These are real dollars paid every year by Volusia residents and businesses. The fact that they are restricted funds doesn't make it free money. That distinction does matter because this council has already eliminated arts funding that benefits the entire community while now being willing to spend millions of taxpayer dollars, ECHO funds, on a motocross facility that serves a very narrow user base. When the arts funding was cut, we were told the county had to focus on core responsibilities, but when it comes to high-cost recreational facilities, suddenly those same taxpayer dollars are available. You can't have it both ways. If these are taxpayer dollars, and they are, then this council has an obligation to spend them in a way that reflects voter intent and broad public benefit, not niche interests and pet projects. ECHO funds are not a loophole. They're a trust, and that trust is being strained. Thank you.
Catherine Pante.
Good morning, Council. Members of this council cited core government responsibilities as justification for rescinding previously approved arts funding. The rationale appears to function as a post hoc cover for Councilman Robbins' morality-based objections, rather than a consistently applied standard. If this standard is to have any credibility, the council owes the public a clear explanation of how a taxpayer-funded motocross facility characterized by high cost, significant liability, and limited public reach qualifies as a core governmental function. That explanation is especially warranted because this project was placed on the consent agenda, bypassing meaningful public scrutiny. The procedural choice is deeply troubling given that the council simultaneously rescinded arts funding that had already been approved through the budget process and served thousands of residents countywide. It is both hypocritical and ethically indefensible to expect those same residents to subsidize Councilman Dempsey's motocross project. To date, the county has already incurred substantial costs for the motocross project, excluding staff time and indirect expenses. These include $128,000 paid to Huntington Strategic Partners after the council directed the removal of the needs assessment that would have justified the project. $4.6 million from Volusia Forever and ECHO funds to purchase land under the premise of conservation without informing either committee of the intent to build a motocross facility. $125,000 consulting contract with the Rebel Group for a public-private partnership, and an additional $195,000 now proposed on the consent agenda. Based on the current spending and projected development costs, taxpayers could ultimately be responsible for as much as $20 million, not including ongoing operational expenses or long-term liability. The continued search for a private partner further suggests that this project is not independently viable. Equity and access must also be considered. Motocross is a high-cost, niche activity accessible to a few, while the eliminated arts funding supported broadly accessible programs countywide at a total cost of $695,000. This inconsistency cannot be reconciled. A costly recreational facility serving a limited population cannot reasonably be defined as a core government responsibility, while arts funding serving thousands is eliminated on the same basis. Accordingly, this item should be removed from the consent agenda, the motocross project terminated, and the previously approved arts funding reinstated. Thank you. I do have one more thing to add. Every motocross facility that I have looked up that had been sued because somebody was injured, if the landowner was separate from the person actually operating the facility, they shut it down because they were sued in the process. Thank you.
John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, Daytona Beach side. Everything that's been stated is true, all right? There's no getting around it. But you have to look at the wording. David has said, we've already paid for it. The property is there. Whether we use it or not is up to us. It could be remain as part of Volusia Forever. Doesn't have to be used, but the highest and best use is to put in a motocross. Now, everybody keeps putting that it's Don's pet baby, all right? Things that are brought here for a reason, all right? Nobody brings it here because they have no interest in it. They bring it here because they have an interest in it or they have been aware of something. Now, when it topped in the beginning at $10 million, Don goes, nope, that's not what I want, all right? I'm saying, yes, that's what you want. Two, this public-private partnership, David, is not new, all right? If I'm not mistaken, George, we own the land underneath the Speedway. How much money have we put into the Speedway? How much money have they asked? How much tax money has gone into the Speedway? We've not, from what I understand, we've never paid a dime to them. They've done it on their own. They are not a charity case. They are a benefit to us. Not all of us have race cars. I mean, Don may have a couple of race cars sitting in there somewhere, but most of us don't have a race car. So it's a niche area. Not everybody is into, I've been to one race in 40 years that I've been here. I don't go to them, all right? It's not my cup of tea. I don't play pickleball. I don't have needs for it anymore. But pickleball, there's not a lot of people playing pickleball. Not in the millions anyway. But we have a pickleball for a reason. And if we're going to do this, and I hope we do, that we look at it so that it makes money from us. We make money off the land that we lease to the Speedway in advertisement. There are people all the way around the world that has heard of the Speedway. It's advertised. Every time they advertise a race, it's as if we're paying for advertisement for free. All right? If we do this, we have to be able to make it enough to be tournament-wise. They have to have tournaments here. They have to have races here. If we don't do that, we end up losing on the back end. When the city built the skateboard park in Daytona Beach, they decided to save $100,000. They paid $750,000 for it. If they put in another $100,000, they could have races there. It would fill up our hotel rooms, our restaurants. We could have made money off of it. Penny wise, pound foolish. Thank you.
Thank you. C.J. Harris.
All right, good morning. Greetings, everybody. I'm CJ. I am the owner of Pax Tracks Motocross Park, the closest motocross facility to this project. Just so you guys know, I am for motocross, 100%. My past cross with Don almost every weekend at a racetrack. How deep am I into motocross? My son's legal name is actually Moto, okay? Now, there has been a lot of things thrown around here today. Back to the consultant. They have not reached out to the 3 closest tracks to this project. If I was going to open a business I think I would get information from the 3 closest tracks to help me figure out if it's worth opening or not. Don said there's tracks closing down all over the place. There is, unfortunately, but that's because there's not enough business to run it. Tampa MX did close. If it was that successful, he would have bought a piece of property right next to it. Hard Rock is closed. It's still for sale. The land is sitting there. You could go buy it right now. We are all private business owners. The 2 people that come and talk on every other meetings about this, that are for this, that own other facilities, are private business owners. If I thought that there was enough business to be successful in the land, I would buy the land myself and build a track. What makes me an expert on this? I've owned and operated motorcycle businesses in Volusia County for the last 20 years. I had a motorcycle shop in Daytona, sold it successfully. It was called the Motostop. My business partner, who's my father on all my businesses, he is part of, he still lives in Volusia County, so he's a Volusia County resident. I'm in Bunnell. But I don't think you guys have the whole gist of what you're doing and what you're spending. I know we keep saying, Don, I know you really want this, but it will shut me down. You take 30% of our business, we're out. Orlando will be out. So what's going to happen is you're going to open a motocross track, realize it's way too much work for you guys. You're going to close it down. So now you won't have PAX, you won't have Orlando, and you won't have Volusia County. So what's going to happen? Jeff is the only city councilman that's reached out to me and asked any kind of questions. I've been very open. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm here to answer anything. Yeah, I think that's all I got. So, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming in. Okay, now we're back to discussion. Councilman Dempsey.
CJ, the first thing, you don't remember our golf cart ride at Monster Mountain 3 years ago?
Yep, I do.
Where we talked about this very project?
Yep, and I told you it would be successful as a night track, not a...
Chairman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Local tracks, the only local track has been reached out to. Okay. The problem, and I've been there, we go maybe once a year to PAX. Like PAX, it's been there since Rob started it in the early 90s. Yeah. Great facility. I have no problems with it. The problem is they don't run at night anymore because of the expenses of lighting. I know that was, I'll leave that alone, but they don't run at night. If you look at their schedule, which is posted on their social media, they go until afternoons until dark. The problem is, it's like I pulled it up before, I think it was 50 minutes from DeLand to there. Deltona is probably well over an hour to get to his place to ride. So when you're a normal, average family, dad or mom gets off work at 5 o'clock, you load up the bikes, Monday through Friday, get off of school, and you're going, you can't go to PAX to ride. As much as I'd love to be able to, we used to ride there at night. When my son was young, you know, we used to ride there at night when it was lit. It was great, and that's when Rob had it. But there's nowhere to go now. And I've said it before, I don't think this is going to affect PAX, at least Monday through Friday, because I don't think anybody south of DeLand goes there, or south of Daytona, or, I mean, it's too far. You can't feasibly do it. They need a more local place to ride. I have no complaints about PAX. Chair, I think you're being lied to when you're, go on your phone right now and look up X Insurance Motocross. There's motocross insurance. Absolutely there is. So you've been lied to by saying there's no insurance. Go, look. We just had Ricky Carmichael, which is a mini major in Daytona, right at the Speedway. Have it every year during Bike Week. Registration was Monday, and I'm sure CJ tried to register his son Moto for the same event. That place, I think there's approximately 2,000 entry slots. It was sold out in the first 2 hours. The computers went down. It failed. Finally, everybody was able to get registered. There's countless people on the waiting list. We just had the Mini Olympics, which was, up in Gainesville. And they had, I believe, another record year of attendance. Biggest event in the world. So to say that this sport is a dying sport, or it's just a little niche sport for a small percentage of people is not true. And my point is, this isn't for me. I mean, even though PAX is the closest, we only go there once. We ride in other places further away. But PAX is a great place. This is not intended to hurt them one bit, but there's got to be a place for local kids, especially the southern Volusia kids and southeast Volusia kids, to go ride after. I mean, most of us have had dirt bikes as a kid. That was one of my most favorite things. I think Charles Schultz had he got an Oscar or an Emmy for Christmas episode, Thanksgiving episode, and then You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, and look it up. That's all about motocross. That was all about when motocross was introduced in the 70s and how big it was. He got an Emmy for that episode. Motocross is huge. There's a ton of kids that do this stuff. I did it as a kid, and I could go ride anywhere. Now that's not available for kids. And I know a lot of people are mad at me because I vote against moratoriums, and I don't always vote the way the environmentalists want me to vote. And I can't help but think sometimes that this is just a way of getting even with me. But I hate the fact that kids are going to suffer. 8-year-olds who want to go ride their dirt bike after work, and they can't because of fiscal responsibility. All of a sudden, your fiscal responsibility. We got I think it's 130 mile, I call it the scorched earth, river to sea road. 130 miles of paved asphalt. We kick in 1.5 million, I think, every year through ECHO. Nobody burps about that. But we're going to spend $3 million on giving these kids somewhere to go because all the land they used to ride on, kids where my son used to ride, my oldest son, 30 years ago, can't go anymore because it's all developed. We've got to give them somewhere to go. There's nowhere to go. This is not for me as much as you might want to make it for me. It isn't. It's for these kids who want to go ride their dirt bikes. And it's offensive to me that you guys are going to hurt them by trying to gig me. Skateboard parks, nobody cares. Pickleball, nobody cares. That's all. Thanks, guys.
Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman. Don, I think more people hear you and maybe don't say anything. Then you can wonder. I've been doing this for a little bit as well, and I often feel at times the way you do, but it's our job to get the information out there. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of that stuff going on, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I just have a couple questions. Brad?
Sir?
Give us a quick crash course education on ECHO, right? What can ECHO be used for?
Outdoor recreation. This is outdoor recreation.
Okay, cleared that up. Any questions? None. Okay, was it determined, this was determined that it was outdoor recreation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dyer, Russ, Mr. Brown as well, a few meetings ago, you had provided a state statute that alleviated the county from liability. Can you go over, do you have that readily available?
I don't, sir, but there is a state statute that basically holds us harmless from risk, like elevated risk recreational exercise, as long as we're not negligent. But that typically, we're not going to be the operator either, so there's another layer here where there would be additional insured status. We would require the operator to indemnify, defend, and hold us harmless. They do their own release presumptively and have to get their insurance and make additional insured. So there's added layer of protection.
And just to wrap things up, just for some clarity, ECHO funds cannot be used for stormwater. They can't be used for some of these general operating expenses with the arts. They can't be used for some of these core responsible areas. They have to be used for environmental, cultural, historical, or outdoor recreation. If you don't like the outdoor recreation, that doesn't mean you're not able to do the outdoor recreation, right? If you don't like it, don't use it. But we are a community, and we have every walks of life that we are trying to service or cater to here to make this community better. Don, don't take it too hard. We're all experiencing the madness. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. Thanks.
Okay, Councilman Santiago.
Two things, Mr. Chair. One of our speakers said that incorrectly said that this land is conservation land that this is being put on. That is absolutely not true. I want to make that clear. This is not designated conservation land. With that, Mr. Chair, we are going to beat this dead horse. I move to approve agenda item H.
David Santiago moves to approve item H. The second was by Councilman Robbins. Okay, Don, did you have something else to say?
I just had a question for George, if I could, real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to get hammered for this later, but I'm going to let you ask your question because I think it's important. And Danny did as well, asked a question after questions were over.
Okay.
But I think we have to do that in order to get the information that you need to make a vote. So,
Okay. George, may I ask the question? Thank you. Are you at liberty to be able to disclose who are the interested? Has anybody reached out to you about potentially being an operator that you're at liberty to disclose or not?
I'm not really at liberty, but I can tell you people have. And we're coming into that phase. Someone asked the phase part of it, as we move closer to procurement, I hesitate into, delving into, because we don't want to, first of all, make any kind of guess on something, but you'll know who the people are when we go into the procurement phase. It'll be open competitive bid, and we'll see. But yeah, I've been approached other people, so I know there'll be probably 3 or 4 reputable organizations that will put in a proposal.
And if Mr. Harris or anybody else locally wants to put in a bid, we'll accept them as well.
Yeah, and we're not at that. See, we haven't even put out a solicitation yet. That's coming, and then that'll be advertised, I'm hoping, here at the end of January. And then proposals will come in. And so as we enter that phase, that's the other things, we don't go talk to these, we put it out for bid, so to speak, but we don't go talk to them. That would be like me going to talk to an asphalt company and say, hey, what would be your favorite type of asphalt or something. We don't solicit any of that information. It's got to be a peer solicitation. So that's one of the reasons we don't reach out and talk. We put it out as an advertisement, and then they come to us with their proposals.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, I'll wrap this up with my final comment. Don, I'm asking you to remember that I have never accused you of doing this for your personal benefit or because your son is in it. I think you're doing it because you love the sport and you understand the sport a heck of a lot better than I do. And I think you're doing it because you think it would be good for Volusia County and a good business, period. I don't question your motives. I never have. I've never questioned that this is appropriate for an Echo. It is outdoor. It's sports. I get hammered by the public sometimes because they don't believe that this is passive. Well, we're not restricted to just passive outdoor events with Echo, in my opinion. I'm not against it for environmental reasons. I've gone to courses and rode them. And as I'm driving over them in a golf cart, I see deer prints everywhere. I see alligators in the field. I see birds that are on the endangered species list there with nests. They're breeding. Everybody says that doesn't happen because motocross, the noise scares them off. I don't think it's an environmental hazard. My issue with it is that I don't think it's our place to invest in business. Our place is to provide essential services with a dwindling amount of resources. Yes, we build all kinds of sports fields. Gus, I'll also say, I'm not angry at anybody on county staff. You're doing exactly what we asked you to do. I've been part of this all along. I've voted for every step of the way because I wanted to see where we're going. And after my research and after seeing where we're going, I see a money pit that we're always going to be obligated to. the problem is there's a lot of people that play softball. There's a lot of people that play pickleball. Somebody says it's dying. The Holly Hill course is pretty busy. What I don't see is I see a lot of people that ride dirt bikes, Don. I don't see them all competing in motocross. In fact, our two closest tracks actually close down on opposite days because they share the same 20 riders. So in order to stay in business, they're working with each other to make sure that the limited number of people that are involved in motocross have a place to go and don't put either one of them out of business. The problem with this is that there's not enough riders here. Now, I think you're envisioning that you bring people from all over the country for events, and that the events would make money. And I don't want to use county tax dollars, ECHO, or any other dollars to provide for somebody in Michigan or Pennsylvania or wherever else. I want this open for dirt bike riders in Volusia County that can go and ride recreationally with their families and enjoy the sport that they love. That's the vast majority of people. You're absolutely right. I've said it time and time again that there is not one single foot in Volusia County where you can ride legally in a dirt bike. So it's done illegally or on private property. Let's make it legal. We've got ball fields. We've got everything else. Gus mentioned the golf course. There's a lot of people that play golf. There's a lot of people that ride recreationally, and we can give them space. Mr. Santiago is exactly right. This property has already been decimated by the previous owner. It was going to be developed. We saved it from that. I'm glad that we bought it, and it lends itself to recreational riding, which would help the sport and even help motocross. So I'm not against anybody here. I'm not against staff. I'm wondering why we didn't hire Rebel first instead of Hunden, that we paid, I'm told today, only $10,000 to tell us that it's a $10 million project. So now we're going to try and do it at $3.5 million. I just don't think it's possible, and I think it comes back to the taxpayers again and again. So with that, I'm sorry. I'm going to vote no on it because I don't think it's our responsibility. Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chair and Council. I just hope everyone's kind of listening to the words, Don, and if you break down some of what's being said, because it's political salad, I think, at best. We hear statements like we're not in business, we don't have to be in or we have no place to invest in business. Meanwhile, the same people that are promoting this stuff and saying this stuff, they're giving away tax dollars to Avello and Breeze and all these other places. They're also voting for public housing and government subsidies to no end, right? I think this is a good project. I think it's going in a correct direction. And and when we say not the same thing, not to use money to provide for everyone else, break this whole thing down. It's just words with really no meaning. Appreciate it. Can we call for the vote, please? Thank you.
Okay, Carissa, would you call the roll on item H? The motion is to approve it as proposed.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
Mr. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Dempsey, Mr. Johansson,
Yes.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Brower.
No. And the motion passes 5-1. Okay.
Thanks, Gus.
That brings us to item 6, which is the chair's 2026 assignment for council members to committees. And I'm not making any changes as we have currently on those assignments. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Generally speaking, I'm okay with the appointments. The only one that I can't, and I said this last year, is I can't, my work schedule does not allow me to participate in the TPO. And I know my name's there, but I haven't been going to the meetings. I thought I was going to put as an alternate last year, but I might have missed that. Everything else that I'm assigned to, Mr. Chair and Council, I'm okay with, but if y'all want to leave my name there as TPO, that's fine, but I just can't attend.
Okay. I think it's a requirement that we have 5 council members. We have 2, Don and Troy, that can't because of their work schedule, so it's a dilemma. I understand that it's an issue. Your name's there.
I'm happy with you guys represent as well. I just wanted to make the statement again.
Okay, Councilman Johansson.
Yeah, I see Reinhardt before me, but I'll take my turn. The TPO, is there any consideration to asking them to possibly look at alternative times and dates? I don't know what works for David, but I know that we very rarely can get 5 people there. And the other question I have is, knowing David's not there, do we ping on Don and Troy every month to see if they're available as the alternates, or do we just go without a full complement? I'm not aware, but those would be questions I have. Also, I think all of us at one point or another can't make all of these meetings. I'll be in the same boat as I was last year. I rely heavily on you, Chairman Brower. My intent was to go to the Rail Commission meetings as often as I could, but as you are aware from your meetings there, that I rarely make it because of conflicts. But I have the same issues with Human Services and the other Human Services Advisory Board and the other local one that I'm on. But I'll do my best to attend. But I can't get 100% participation.
What was the other one? Human Services and
Human Services Advisory Board and there's one more. Hold on.
That's the one in Bunnell, right?
No, that's here.
Oh.
That's here.
Planning Committee, Central Florida.
Shoot.
No issues there.
Maybe I'm missing the other one, but yeah, affordable housing.
Affordable housing will have to be done by an agenda item.
Yep.
It's not a chair appointment.
Yep, that's why I can't find it.
I didn't do that to you.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Those are the 2. I have a problem making both of those, but I endeavor to do the best I can, and I don't think anybody else is in a position to do any better. So.
Yeah, that's the issue. And
Right.
On the rare occasion I've missed Sunrail, you have been able to fill in, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely with advanced knowledge, but yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Robbins.
Matt, did you want to go?
I just was going to mention.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Vice Chair Matt Reinhardt.
I was just going to mention, for the record, I'm good with where I'm at with the ones that are assigned. Plus, I have additional ones that I've done that are not assigned, so I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, everything's, again, good. I did notice this go around with East Central Florida Regional Planning Council. Great organization. A lot of times they're in Orlando. I know Mr. Johansson, that's his thing. Do we have to have 2 people? That's your thing. No, I honestly, I tune in because of my schedule. You know, some of these things, you can't make all of them. It's physically impossible, but you can make 99% of them. But I do coordinate, you know, with him. If he's not going to be there, I'll go, you know, or vice versa. But it's hard on it's difficult. Plus, you got to bill the taxpayers for mileage and all this stuff.
Do we need to on that? Do we know?
I think we do, but I'll find out if that's...
Yes, we do. I am the vice chair, so I'm pretty much locked in every meeting. But we need 2 reps. And as long they accept remote, so that's been working out for us.
And there hasn't been, I go to all the TPO meetings and the executive committee. We always have a quorum. David, there's no nail biter votes. You know, a lot of this stuff is either following state law or DEP or this or that, the other agency. And it's more formalities, but I've never seen a problem with a not having a quorum. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too bad about that. Everything else is good.
Okay. Yeah, so we will keep it the same. If there's any changes after further discussions with council members, I'll let you know. But with the understanding that everybody can't make it to every meeting.
Motion to approve as presented.
So we have a motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt, and the second was by Councilman Robbins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And that brings us to the second public participation. I have 2. Did you gain any more? Okay. First up will be Melissa Lammers. Nancy Vaughn will go second.
Melissa Lammers, District 4, Happy New Year. I'm Vice Chair of the Echo Volusia Forever Alliance, the successor to the PAC that ran the campaign to reauthorize Volusia Forever. Among potential 2026 goals that you've included for your workshop is modifying Volusia Forever to a non-in-perpetuity program. We'd like to provide some perspective. When Volusia Forever was first approved in 2000, Forever meant just that. In 2020, when 75.6% of voters reauthorized it to protect drinking water supplies and the land around our lagoon, lakes, rivers, and springs that hold floodwaters, they knew what they were voting for, that the land would be preserved forever. They had more than 30 years of experience to go by. To conserve land, Volusia Forever acquires it outright and employs conservation easements. The appraisals used to acquire the land or easement were and are based upon perpetuity. Taxpayer dollars were and are spent under that assumption. By law, conservation easements are perpetual. Conservation easements used by Florida Forever and the Rural and Family Lands Protection Program, premier sources of match funding for Volusia Forever, only allow a conservation easement to be extinguished, quote, by judicial proceedings in a court of competent jurisdiction, end quote, if, quote, unexpected circumstances arise in the future that render the conservation purposes of the conservation easement impossible, impractical, or unfeasible to accomplish. That's a standard established by the Internal Revenue Service for charitable contributions associated with conservation easements. It's clearly focused on ensuring the perpetuity of the conservation restrictions. Volusia Forever partnerships, which provide match funding, have resulted in an incredible return on investment. Since 2020, they've provided $4 for every $1 we've invested. By jointly owning property with entities like Florida Forever or the Water Management District, Volusia Forever not only stretches taxpayer dollars, but often there are beneficial land management agreements as well. This fiscally responsible best practice of Volusia Forever that gives a solid return on tax dollars was something we highlighted in our campaign and we continue to promote. We know there'll be a full discussion of Volusia Forever in the near future as agreed in your last meeting. We ask that you table the idea of making a fundamental change to the very heart of Volusia Forever on your list of goals for the year. We're confident that once you learn more about the program, you'll agree with the more than 2/3 of voters in Volusia County who wanted 20 more years of what's been a phenomenally successful, transparent, and financially sound program that delivers on what voters wanted. Thank you, and thank you for permitting up with the wonkiness. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nancy Vaughn?
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Brower and Council, and good morning, Mr. Rechtenwald and staff. Thank you all for your time and attention this morning. My name is Nancy Vaughn. I live in District 3, and I'm here representing the League of Women Voters of Volusia County as its president. The League has been a strong proponent of Volusia Forever since its inception, supporting both the 2000 and 2020 initiatives. Among the many reasons of unyielding support are the program's stated intentions to protect drinking water supplies and the land surrounding our local springs, lakes, and rivers that manage floodwaters. Clean, safe water and flood mitigation were top voter priorities in 2020 pre-election polling, and I think it's safe to say they remain so today. The methodology followed by Volusia Forever is tried and true. The evaluation process, objective criteria, transparent acquisition process, and partnerships with other entities ensure a wise use of taxpayer funds. The structure of Volusia Forever is tried and true. The structure of Volusia Forever, both past and present, has served our county well. Regarding today's workshop, I understand that one potential 2026 goal is to modify Volusia Forever into a non-perpetuity program. This change would directly oppose the intent of the citizens who voted for land conservation program titled Volusia Forever. My request today is that you continue this structurally sound program in its current form and honor the will of the voters. Thank you very much today for your time and consideration.
Thank you. John Nicholson.
John Nixon, Daytona Beach side. A couple of things. One, with regard to motocross, I ask you to think about going it in phases. I understand Don wants a minimal course. That's what he's always pushed. Just a place for the kids to go. So if there's only a few kids that show up, fine. We have a motocross for just a couple of kids. If it comes out to be successful and it's booming, then we have a plan to extend it, which I hope that would happen, so that we could again create another Daytona International Speedway. All right, I like that idea. Secondly, affordable housing. I came before you before. For years, I've made a comment to take a look at what's happening in Daytona Beach. They're looking at our finances now and finding problems. Take a look at Clyde Morris Landing. I'm asking you, you put $1.8 million into that. There's a potential problem there, a slum. And I don't want you guys to create money thinking you're creating affordable housing for the average policeman, fireman, when it's really you're creating a slum. So I'm asking you to look into that. And if there is a problem with the city creating not what you want, that you stop working with the city. You stop giving them money, ECHO, whatever, so that they can literally, if they make a commitment to you guys, they follow through. And lastly, I would again ask you to put a representative onto the CRA. It's going for 10 more years. A lot of damage can be done in 10 years. So I'm asking you to put a representative on the Main Street CRA so the money is spent wisely, because I'm going to almost guarantee you when they look at this audit and they look at the CRAs, you're not going to be happy with what they find. Thank you.
Wendy Anderson.
Welcome to a new year, all of you. My name is Wendy Anderson. I live in District 1, and I'm here to make a few remarks about your workshop coming up in a few minutes. As all of you move into your county workshop later today to set your priorities for 2026, I urge you to consider what may be the most important matter facing the county, the council, and all local governments across the state. Over the past couple of decades, Tallahassee has chipped away at home rule by preempting the ability of our local governments to make the best decisions for our communities based on each location's unique geography and culture. Last year, Senate Bill 180 stripped away your ability to update our ordinances for stormwater management and other development codes that could address our county's extreme flood risks. The response from local governments within Volusia County and across the state ranged from joining statewide lawsuits to fight SB 180 and to gently offer our state legislators language to consider amending the statute. How is that working out? Several bills have been in the hopper of legislative committees this past fall and winter that will further erode home rule. SB 718 is one that will undermine local government's abilities to make decisions about water quality and land management issues. If SB 180 cut you off at the knees, SB 718 will remove your arms. As county leaders, I urge you as individuals and as a collective body to use your leadership roles to coordinate a county-wide effort to fight SB 718. Please use your state lobbyists to fight this existential threat. Please use your seats on the roundtable of elected officials to coordinate efforts among the 16 cities and 22 townships of Volusia County to create a unified position of all local governments within the county to protect all of your abilities to set standards that protect our Volusia communities and to demand that the projects built in our communities meet those standards. Please use your positions on the Florida League of Cities and join the 1,000 Friends of Florida to present a unified voice across the state that enough is enough. Please organize a meeting with the county, within the county, of our legislative delegation ASAP, to ask them to carry this sentiment back to Tallahassee. Not a meeting where local governments go in to kiss their rings and tee up asks for appropriations, but one where you sit with them in what is an election year for them too, and demand that they represent us in the communities of Volusia County, and to do so without fear of retaliation. The county government is uniquely positioned to be this leader to connect the states and to connect the cities and the state. And I ask you to make this a priority.
Thank you.
Thank you
for your comments. Keith Jester.
Gentlemen, each and every one of you have children. Most of you have younger adult children. And some of our private conversations, you've told me about how some of you have told me how you've helped your children purchase homes. Some of you have told me how you've had children stay with you in your home that longer because of finances and the struggles young people are having. I listed 15 things today for you where within Volusia County, we've created those struggles and we've made them worse. I told you when I was a young police officer, I was able to buy a home working in a small town, my first small home. I was able to buy that in my early 20s. And now people are having to wait till they're in their late 30s. We have to fix it. Government has been the problem, not the solution. We've added taxes and burdens and burdens. And every time somebody comes up here from the cultural groups or any other group, they say it's for the children. The best thing you can do for the children is allow your young adults and others to keep as much money as they can to provide for their own families. Get government out of the way. If you want your child, or if your children want your grandchildren to go to an art program, let them be able to afford to pay for it. Having a good home and a good home environment and home ownership builds generational wealth, which is very important. But that is far more than important than going to some after-school program. And let us be honest. Every time we come up here and we're throwing these different poster children up when we're asking for money for our organizations, and it happens every time. Heard it today. When it happens to be children, we already fund schools to the tune of over $1 billion a year. Through the schools, there's a plethora of art programs. There's even a charter school in Lake Helen that is dedicated to the arts that we help fund. So please put the young people first, get government out of their way. And I will tell you, I grew up here, lived here all my life. And when I was growing up here and I was a young adult here and starting out, the roads were much better. The traffic issues were a lot less. And it's got to be where I don't even like to go out anymore. Let's fix what you're supposed to be fixing. Thank you.
Catherine Pante.
Good morning, Council. Regarding Chapter 72 that was heard in front of this council a few months back, I submitted a public records request for all emails sent to the council members and was informed that the cost would be $1,700. I responded that this fee was excessive. I then submitted a follow-up request asking that the emails be attached to the related agenda item so they would be accessible to all Volusia County residents. This approach was previously used for the motocross item on April 15th. Therefore, I see no reason why this request cannot be accommodated at no cost to residents. So that is my request, that they all be attached to that agenda item. The state preemption should also be the main priority of this council workshop today. That should be at the top of the list, not, disemboweling Volusia forever. And Keith, in reference to the arts program.
To the microphone.
I'm going to address it to you guys, but I just wanted Keith to know this. The arts funding did support programs that were in the schools, in Volusia County schools. I know they went to Pace Center for Girls, and I know they also had a program for autistic children down in Port Orange at Art House. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment for the close of our meeting. We will move into discussion from staff and council members. County Manager George Rechtenwald.
I have nothing today.
County Attorney Mike Dyer.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
County Council, today we start with Councilman Robbins.
Save it for the workshop.
Okay. Councilman David Santiago.
A couple things, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chester, I'm going to compliment you because you're consistent in your messaging from the first day I got here serving. So I have to compliment you there. And I think shortly after the first time I met you when I was in the council, I'd agreed that our young people are being pushed out of further and further home ownership. So I applaud your motive towards that, and we do need to do more. I'll agree with that. How we get there is just the tough part, and I think the council has done some steps. It's been baby steps. I'll admit those compared to other counties, but we have more to do. We'll find out more in this session today what more we'd like to do. But I agree with your goal and what you've said and what's really happened. And then to our council and staff, it's been asked about the Main Street CRA, right? And, I don't want to make it specifically about Daytona, but do we have, I represent this council on the Spring Hill CRA, and do we have a council member that has a representation in the other CRAs?
No.
Is that because the way they were formed initially, it showed up what the body would be, the makeup of the body, I'm guessing?
Yeah, basically.
I think it's worth something asking about. I have my own personal feelings on CRAs anyway, though. And then the other question I had, the PACE funding. Can staff give us an update on that? It's what we had. Some business owners came here and represented that the cases they've won. Do we have to make any comments on the CRA process? I'm sorry, not the CRA, PACE funding.
PACE funding.
The comments that were made here earlier today.
I'm sorry, I was trying to follow up on your question that you asked earlier while you're asking. So what's your question again?
So we had two individuals give us an update, according to them, regarding Florida Supreme Court rulings and other rulings regarding PACE funding that they have won from the industry. Do we have to take any action?
Yeah, so I sent you an email yesterday On January 20th, I was going to bring forward an agenda item recommending we dismiss a case that we had filed here locally on the dispute. And the dispute was, I'm pleased to hear the PACE providers come in and say, well, they realize they need an interlocal agreement with the county. That was not their position. Originally, the state law has been changed. So, in light of the ruling at the Supreme Court level, which was in favor in favor of the PACE companies on that bond validation issue, my recommendation is I think the concern that the council and other counties around Florida had raised has been resolved by the new statute. The other issue they raised, I think the second speaker expressed an interest in having an interlocal agreement with the council. That'd be a policy issue for you to consider. There are issues on both sides on that. They're not really legal. I do think for them to operate under state law now going forward, they need an interlocal agreement with you.
Okay, thank you for that.
So I will bring that item forward if that's okay, January 20th.
Thank you. And then the other thing I was going to ask, I figured I'd make the public ask. I haven't gone through the line lately, but I recall at one time we had stopped or changed our security screenings to come in. Are we still doing the normal security screenings?
No.
I know there was some law, some issue.
Right. Yeah, the law changed, so
But does the law prohibit us from doing a security screening, or it says that certain people can exercise their rights?
That's a discretionary function, sir. And at this time, the legislature's got some pending change to the statute that would, if passed this session, put some of those prohibitions back in place as applies to what the court case changed. So,
No, I'm good. Okay.
to be determined is what I would say by the legislature.
And what are our options? I mean, you may not have the answer right now, but
for
any type of screening.
Currently. Again, that's a law enforcement
The
discretionary
courthouse
function.
is still doing it. I went to the courthouse the other day.
Yes, sir. Some of that's different.
Okay.
Because it's the courthouse. You got some criminal proceedings going over there and different things. It depends on the type of building, the type of government function. There's some other issues, and it's a discretionary function of law enforcement for the screening.
I'd like to know in the interim, between now and any legislation passed, if you can give us an update, hopefully at our next meeting, if the council is agreeable, on what options that we have still. I get it, people have certain rights, but I don't think we should just keep it as a mute point. People are getting more and more extreme out there every day. And we see examples of it almost every meeting this time. And I think for the safety of everyone.
What I would recommend is, what you're going to hear back is it's a law enforcement decision and whether they're willing to enforce. I think they need to be part of that discussion.
Absolutely.
Because it's not something that's been driven by your staff.
Yeah, I guess the discussion should be is not I get it what we can't do. I want to know what we can do. Does that make sense? Without violating people's rights, which I respect. And unless there's objection to that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask staff to do that. Give us an update.
I certainly don't have an objection, and I would like to know right now, today, what is allowed, because the way I understand it, what's been presented to staff for their understanding is you notice the metal detectors are gone. Mm-hmm. So I think it's permissible that in this building, in this room, anybody can carry a firearm, including you and I. Is that true or false?
That's, as the current law stands, based on the changes, that's generally a true statement.
Okay.
I would just encourage, I think law enforcement needs to be a part of this discussion because they provide the services.
Yeah, because, just to, again, give us the update, but I think when you take away certain security protocols and your approach to security internally didn't change, because I didn't see any changes there, was all that thought process given? I'll leave that for thought. Okay, we can discuss that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Chair.
just want to be clear. We're here because of a court decision.
I know.
So the legislature can take this issue up, but it's something local governments around the state have had to grapple with.
I know.
And a lot of people are not happy with the state we're in. But so that's where we are. Again, it's not something your staff isn't.
I realize that. I want to know what we can do.
Right. And that bill in Tallahassee is pending, like I said, for this session to kind of go back to the status quo before the court case.
What we can do is write it up, share it with you, and then we'd be prepared to speak to it at the next meeting. But that's no problem.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I think the rest of the items I have are, well, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you would consider it to be part of our workshop, but I do want to discuss, again, the West Volusia Hospital Authority or our hospital authorities, what we're going to do with that. I know we have very limited power over it, but we can influence some of that and the burden that's putting on our taxpayers. We can do that at the workshop, you think? At least give staff direction? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm done.
Councilman Dempsey.
Nothing now. I've got some things I want to address at the workshop, though.
Thank you. Councilman Johansson.
Couple things, sir. Council committee updates. As mentioned earlier, we belong to the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council. On February 25th, we're having the annual Diamond Awards. I go to that every year. This year, Volusia County does have a winner. The Marine Discovery Center won the Innovative Places Award. The good news is the award ceremony is at the Brannon Center on February 25th, so I hope more than just I can make it. It's great that we have a winner this year. And also, there's a R2C Leadership Summit, which is the art of what's next, and that's on February 26th and 27th. Tickets are available at the East Central Florida Regional Planning Center website. Ben Bartlett and myself will be, apparently we're confirmed speakers, but there's quite a batch of speakers that will be talking everything from environment to tourism. The Federal Railroad Administration will have a rep there. Some folks from the hospitality industry, some folks from, I think, Visit Florida will be there, from all over the East Central Florida region, speaking on various topics. It should be interesting. Done with committee updates. Now, we talk about affordable housing. It was brought up in public comment about our youth. And I may have complained that my sons graduated from college and came home to live for a little while they struggled to find their dream job, of which they have. But lowering the price of housing or giving them more money, if I gave my sons more money in their pocket, they're going to go to Chick-fil-A, and they're going to go to Starbucks, and they're going to spend it on Air Jordans or Vans or whatever the hell the shoe of du jour is. They may save a lot. Both my graduated kids save a lot of money, but they don't know what they're saving for. They just know that we taught them to save. I know countless youth that have worked hard, gone to not the Publix deli, but to BJ's Deli, and bought discount, cheap day-old ham that's in the day-old locker, and bought a house. So when you hearken back to when you were a child and your parents said, well, when we were kids, we're doing the same thing. we instill that culture of saving in our kids, or we don't. We send them to Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and Starbucks because we do it ourselves, and we instill that culture. So I'm all about putting money in our young adults' pockets. I'm all about trying to give them every opportunity to buy a house, but it takes effort as well on their part. And it's not just something that the government ought to work hard to give them without having them do some hard work as well. And I think that's important. That's just another variable to consider. Lastly, I look forward to our workshop this afternoon. I hope we don't get mired down in some of the details from the emails that were sent to all of us. We can talk about it, but I don't want to spend hours talking about a particular program when we should be talking about strategic goals. So I hope we take that to heart after lunch and go downstairs and have some candid discussions about where we want to go and maybe even what our core responsibilities are at the macro level so we can move forward this year. And then lastly, regarding SB 718 and the hospital taxing authorities, David, I've been spending a lot of time doing a lot of studying on how we can not fix that, but become more transparent and how that money is used and where it's going. And it's a tough nut to crack, but I think we can get there between our leverage with our lobbyists, our help with our county attorney, and some folks in the delegation for both that and SB 718. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a few things since we didn't have a meeting in December, or only the one. First off, the question was, I wanted to bring it up, added on, Mr. Santiago brought about the Main Street CRA representation. My understanding is we could, George, that could be something we could look into of having representation. I know I'm on a lot of boards, but that is something that's right there in my district, and I'm asked a lot about that. So
I move to assign.
I would be more than happy to do it if permissible. But Paulo, I see.
Yeah. So I think Mr. Santiago mentioned Spring Hill. Spring Hill is unique because that is a CRA jointly created by the county and the city, and they picked the agency, as in there's two representatives from the county, two representatives from the city, and then there's another one. The statute is very specific about how an agency is created, and once you pick one, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to go to the other. So my understanding is all the other CRAs are the creating local government, which is the city, is the agency, and you can't modify that because it's a statutorily created scheme. So
that answer is no.
The answer is my understanding of statute is the answer is
That was an
no.
attorney, folks. The answer is no.
Yeah, but is that? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I could help Matt a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we can get a clearer answer on so that you can't, meaning we can't force them, or they can
If they can
request
ask.
their own change.
I think the answer is going to be both, because it is difficult even for the agency itself to change from one form of what the agency is to another. Like they have to do a entirely different analysis, and I think I can't remember which way it goes, but once you pick one, it is barred to go to the other appointed method.
Yeah, Matt, I'll just add this. So I'd like to get a deeper analysis on that.
Yeah.
Is can we do that with a willing partner, and then we can make the ask?
Oh, they
appoint them.
The city
We
of
can-
Daytona appoints.
And research that further and bring more
Okay,
information.
I appreciate it. So you're saying there's a chance. Okay. The other thing with what Mr. Santiago brought up, and I understand what Mr. Brown said about the presence of law enforcement out there, and we have them here, and I thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We appreciate that. But as far as screening purposes, if for nothing else, just having knowledge of who's coming in here with a weapon. I'm just going to say it. So there was a little bit of activity earlier when the gentleman was disruptive and he left his bag in here, and I don't know if anybody else caught notice, but I got a little nervous when they came in and when they got the duffel bag. A million thoughts ran through my head. So I'd like to know, if for nothing else, even if they say, okay, you can permit it under statute, but our deputies are aware of who has a weapon. I just think that's a great idea. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And
again,
I know you're going to bring it back, but I just want to put that
we need
thought
to
out
have
there.
a conversation with the sheriff's office.
I agree. They need to be part of it because I'm just pointing them out. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
That has not been their position.
Okay, 10-4. The other things, recently I had a meeting with the Daytona Tortugas on the possibility of a Volusia Day for our Volusia County employees, and I know I've spoken with staff about that. Michael Ryan, thank you very much for responding, and I saw the email already. You're putting that project into work. I think it's a great idea. We do it for the cities, and now we're going to have one for the county. I think that's a phenomenal idea. So I want to talk about collaboration with our city governments. We've referred to it a couple times today. Even the smallest issues are big issues. Going back to Daytona, those of you that either live in the area or have driven down that way, right when I first got elected, I talked about an enhancement of Bevel Road as it's a main thoroughfare coming into the city. And I have asked FDOT since I've been in office about the possibility of putting lighting up there. Unbeknownst to me at the time, so was Commissioner Cantu from Daytona. So the two of us continue to work on it, and if you notice, if you drive down that way, it's lit up. So, and it's a very nice entranceway as you're coming into the city, and I think it's much needed in safety. FDOT, that's what we played on the words, safety, as they were with. So that was excellent work, and I commend Daytona and Commissioner Cantu for her help on that as well. And FDOT, thank you very much. If you haven't had the opportunity to visit the Volusia County's new animal shelter, rest of council, I took the opportunity to go down there and see it. I would encourage you to do the same. I want to commend our animal control staff for what they've done and how they've turned that around. I know I asked a couple meetings ago about the possibility of using inmates, maybe going to that program that we used to have, but I do like, George, I like your idea of utilizing the inmates to now seeing it, I'm an eyes-on person, seeing the condition of the building. It's not bad, but it could be better, and I think we could utilize those inmates to help make it better. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The Second Chance Initiative, our job fairs, we were doing them quarterly. We have since moved them back to twice a year, as we saw the need isn't for 4 times. We did one on December 11th, and we found out not as many of the vendors showed up because they were already fully staffed for the holidays. I think it's a great program. We will continue it, and we are getting more applicants of jobs. And those that are listening, I would encourage you to continue to reach out to the jail or find out how you can be part of that. A quick success story about that. I've been asked probably more times than anything, not just on who could help, but what kind of success stories. And I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of them, but one of them, while I was there on December 11th, we had Career Source there. And the gentleman came up and asked the question of an inmate, what are his qualifications? And he specifically gave a lot of HVAC terminology. It was obvious that he was certified in such work. The Career Source individual asked the inmate, when do you get out? He said, tomorrow morning. He said, I need you to be at my office at 9. You have a job. And that's great. We've never had that happen. Another interesting story is one of the Second Chance employees, or one of the employees that work for our reentry group, was out in the public at a shopping market. An individual approached her, asked her, verified her name. She said, yes. You work at the jail? Yes. A little reluctant to answer, but she answered. And he said, I just want to thank you because your forklift certification program Once I got certified, which is the one course that we do at the jail that we do certify in, I was able to land a job the minute I got out. I was able to provide for my family. I did everything that I wanted to do, and I want to thank you. So those are great success stories, and we're hearing more and more of them. These are putting people back to work. It's lowering the recidivism rate in Volusia County, which is a tax burden on this county because it's one of the biggest eaters of our budget, and the general fund is a jail operation. As we approach the legislation that's coming about, we need to be concerned about that. So that being said, and lastly, sorry to bore you. I try to move quickly. Something that is very near and dear. We talked about board assignments, and one of the boards that I took on responsibility of being a part of when I was asked was the Volusia County Domestic Abuse Council. And the reason I chose this was for many reasons, but one of the main reasons was every parent's, well, it should be every parent's nightmare is to get certain phone calls. And a phone call that I received when I was working at the jail was how my daughter, and I've asked her permission to tell this story, how she was abused by her ex. Literally pulled her own gun on her, held it to her head, and we could have been having a lot different conversation right now if it didn't go the right way. That being said, I wanted to find out how do we gain more resources, especially on the west side of the county, with respect to domestic violence? How do we make this preventable? We can't. However, I will point out a very big factor. In Volusia County, usually you want to be first or second in something. It's a good thing. This is not good. Volusia County, you are number 4 in the state of Florida for domestic violence cases. Number 4. That's not something we need to be proud of. We need to find ways to bring that down. Approximately 10 million people experience some form of domestic violence annually each year in the United States. Almost 1 in 2 women, that's almost 50%, and more than 4 in 10 men in the United States reported some sort of domestic violence. According to the statistics gathered by the National Network to End Domestic Violence in 2022, there were 2,410 women killed in a single victim, single offender incident, an average of more than 6 homicides each day. And there's a lot more statistics I won't bore you with, but I wanted to point out one. In Volusia County, the rate of domestic violence per 100,000 people is 72% higher than the national average. Volusia County, as I stated, was number 4. In 2020, let me back up. In Florida, domestic violence offenders resulted in approximately 200 deaths each year just in this state, accounting for approximately 20% of the murders annually in the state of Florida. Perpetrators are typically men, while survivors are predominantly women. 1/3 of domestic violence perpetrators in Florida have known about the do not contact order. I will tell you that there is a do not contact order presently for, or some variation of that for my daughter, that has not stopped him. So that being said, I bring all this to your attention, gentlemen. In Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, January 1st, 2026, they enacted a law called the Savannah's Law. Savannah's Law was named after an off-duty officer, police officer, Savannah Puckett, 22-year-old Robinson County deputy who was murdered in her home in 2022 by her then ex-boyfriend, shot and killed her, suffocated the dog, and then lit the house on fire. They have started a law that would require anybody convicted of domestic violence to register. You say, well, what does that do? Well, I know as a dad, I want to know who my daughter's dating. I want to know as a person, if you're out there in the single field, you want to know who you're dating. You would be able to have that resource. That's just one aspect of it. I'm just going to point that out. So knowing that we have passed the threshold of what legislation we could ask for from the state of Florida for this year, being on that board, I've asked our CEO that we should attack this for the 2027 session. However, I didn't want to sit on my hands and wait. So after speaking with our legal and staff, I asked if an ordinance could be initiated that would require anybody in Volusia County convicted of domestic violence to register in Volusia County. My hopes are the state of Florida sees the seriousness. I know they see it, but they would understand that we're serious about it, and maybe other counties in the state of Florida would pick up the ball as well. Obviously, I'd like to make that motion that we do that for staff to bring that information back, because it's not, I would like to be agended.
We have a motion on the floor by Matt Reinhardt, seconded by Councilman Robbins, to bring information back on making those convicted of domestic violence be on a
Local registry in Volusia County.
just a Volusia County.
Yeah, we can't do
local
it for the state until, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It would be an ordinance, yes, sir.
Motion by Matt Reinhardt, again, second by Councilman Robbins. Any questions?
Just to bring back information, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Comments? All in favor, say, pardon me? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's approved 6-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Lastly, I want to thank you for your confidence again this year to take the role on as vice chair.
Motion to reconsider?
Well, now that I spoke too much. You notice how I put that at the end, right? So, denied. So that's all. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. Just a couple of things. Most of it will come up in the workshop, but it was asked this morning, Senate Bill 180, how's it worked out? There's lawsuits going, there's an amendment process going, so I want to bring the public up to date on how it's going. First, Mike, and I'm sorry I didn't talk to you about doing this beforehand, but I know from the perspective of lawsuits, they've had their first challenge in court, which did not go well. Can you just update us? It's not dead, I know, but can you update us on where the lawsuit from some of our cities and other counties stands?
I believe there was a motion to dismiss filed by both the plaintiffs and the defendants, and each were denied. I don't believe there's a written order out yet. It just happened. So the case would continue beyond that preliminary stage.
Okay.
As to it was actually, Russ is right. It was an injunction. It was a request for an injunction. That was denied.
Right.
Excuse me. Senate Bill 180, I just looked this morning. It's still early because session hasn't quite started, but you have an amendment filed by Senator DeSiglia, who was the original sponsor of Senate Bill 180. I have not seen a House companion bill yet.
That's a problem. Okay, thank you. That brings us to the political angle, the amendment process. The senator that first authored that bill has, as you just said, written amendments that are not everything that we wanted, but it's a big step forward. Volusia County and other counties have submitted amendments to the Florida Association of Counties, and ours were accepted, and other counties' amendments were accepted, put together in a package, given to the Florida legislature. Most of the senators' amendments on his own reflect what we've given him, and a little more, going from 100 miles to 50 miles of a hurricane. So they're improvements. The problem is it ain't going to pass without a House bill, and so I agree with somebody in the public. I think it was Wendy Anderson that said we need to get with our Volusia delegation. I know I'm personally going to ask them, please, why don't you guys write a companion bill for the House? I would like to see the council remain active, and I'll say about 180 and the, in my opinion, the horrible start of this legislation. Our county legal staff, and I don't know if John Booker is in the back. I think there he is. John Booker is our legislative aide to Tallahassee. We have lobbyists there. They've already been working on what's happening in the legislature for weeks before the session ever started, and have been kept us informed. I currently have 3 pages of bills that would preempt local governments, counties and cities from doing things that we currently do now to protect our own citizens. It's a serious session. There's a lot of things that we need to fight. If we get rid of 180 and it's replaced by Senate Bill 718 and House Bill 479, we're still in dire straits. So I'm going to ask for two things from the council. Let me just continue with a couple of the key bills that were, probably the most egregious, in my opinion, is the House Bill 479, Senate Bill 718, land and water management. It would prevent us from doing anything to manage our water quality, water quantity, wetlands. It prevents us from doing some things in stormwater, as does another bill that's been presented. I think we need to take a really strong stance against these bills, against Senate Bill 718, House Bill 479. We also, Mike, I assume and John Booker will continue to keep us updated, because it is early. There'll be amendments. They could get worse. They could get better. So if you would just continue to keep us informed. Senate Bill 208 and 399, land use and development regulations, would prohibit local land development regulations from requiring the denial of or conditioning or delaying the approval of residential development on the basis of a lack of compatibility. Again, it just strips away things that we can do to protect our own residents and decide how our county should be developed. House Bill 239, Senate Bill 558, standards for stormwater systems. House Bill 399 and Senate Bill 208, land use and development regulations. And I could go on, but I want to stop there and ask the council, even at this early stage, if I would like us to send a letter to the Volusia delegation and to the Florida legislature as a whole, asking for them to oppose Senate Bill 718 and House Bill 479 in the House. I think we need to get in on that early and put the brakes on it. They need to be defeated. The Senate Bill 180, we need to get a companion bill in the House. And while I will ask our local Volusia delegation if they would step up and do that, I think it would be powerful for the whole county council to come together and request that as well. So if nobody makes a motion, I'll pass the gavel in a minute and make
Chair,
a
I have a
motion.
question
But yeah, I
for you.
see several. David Santiago, you were there first. Do you have questions or comments?
Question and comment.
Start with, you have a question?
There's no motion, so it's just really discussion.
I just had a question, Chair. I may not have a problem with anything that you're requesting, but I'm going to need to know what I'm supporting and not supporting. I heard about 15 bills. Is there any way, can you compile that, get it to the attorney to research? We need to know what we're voting on.
Well, I got this from the attorneys.
But
our county attorneys are sending this to the council members.
I get it, but there's also 100 of them on there. Can you compile the ones that you?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm asking for two, Senate Bill 718 and then the old Senate Bill 180. Senate Bill 718 has a House bill. That's the one I think we should direct our attention to right now.
Legal, do you have any input on those two as it stands right now? What we can and cannot do already? What can we do?
I think you can relay your request to the legislators on it. It's similar to me than the situation we're in when Senate Bill 180 was pending. It's definitely has preemptive effect on local government authority. If council wishes, we'll be back before you on January 20th. We could bring forward an agenda item that provides more briefing on that and the effect and a draft letter, if you like.
I just know, just from previous conversations, there's certain things that we can't do. For instance, some things with water and whatnot. We're going to need to know some of that, the meat and potatoes of this, rather than trying to buffalo something through. And
okay. So, the subject of water, there already is a tremendous amount of state regulation on water. This takes it a step further.
Thank you.
Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that's what I was going to suggest. If we can, at our next meeting, have a more detailed update on with the pieces of legislation. I'm not opposed to what you're proposing, Mr. Chair, but I don't know enough yet to really make the titles sound very scary, right? But I think I would love for our staff to give us a more in-depth presentation and then take action. It's only 10 days or 11 days away. And I think session starts next week. It won't move that fast in the beginning. I can assure you that. The first week is not very productive. And then the other thing regarding the companion bill to the change of 180, it certainly would be great to have a companion bill. In the event that a companion bill doesn't come up, there's still opportunities to do amendments to other bills to insert it in there in the future. So I don't want you to think that if something doesn't happen before the bill filing deadline, there's still other avenues. We just have to find a bill that's germane to the topic, and often there are several of those that are very comparable.
Do you have any, since you were there, do you have any idea with the fact that there's not a House bill yet? What does that tell you anything?
Yeah.
Could you share it with us?
It's not promising. Yeah. I would certainly say that. And the fact that there are some other bills that are of concern, and they have companions on both sides, is not promising either. So those are the facts.
Okay. Yeah, we need facts.
Yeah.
Facts are friendly.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilman Dempsey.
Chair, I'm in support of that too. I think we're all favoring home rule. We all prefer to make decisions on local issues as opposed to delegating it to the state. But I'd like to bring along with this how much, if we're going to write a petition to the legislature supporting local, home rule, I'd also like to have a study on how much of our home rule we're giving away on all these conservation easements. I was going to bring this up at the workshop, but I think it's very important to bring up, and we don't want to be hypocritical. We don't want to sit here and complain to the state, you're taking away all our local control and all our home rule, but we've already given away almost 37% of our control of Volusia County properties as it relates to water. No, all these easements say no commercial water wells. So we're talking about preserving all this water for the future through Volusia Forever, but yeah, we're giving away all the rights to it to the state and the feds. We're giving away all our local. So I want staff, when they come back with this for discussion, I'd like to talk about that as well, because if our goal is to basically give away all our
You're going to bring that up at the
workshop.
Okay, good.
I'll bring it up at the workshop, but I mean, if we're going to do this, I want to make sure that we can look ourselves in the mirror after we send this letter and say, do we really want local control as we give away up to 50% of our local control over water and land use? That's all. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, if I got to add, we could also get an update from Florida Association of Counties. We're one of 67, so I'm sure others are definitely worried about it, and if there's any action being taken from Florida Association of Counties.
Yes, and the League of Cities. So, Don, Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. So do you need a motion in order for staff to bring back more information and some options for us?
Yes.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
A motion to bring back information on Senate Bill 180 and Senate Bill 718. Okay. And then, okay, any questions on that? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then
Brower, can you clarify who the seconder was?
David Santiago. And then also, Councilman Robbins.
I had a question for David. David, we've been here, two of us have been here since 2021, okay? I don't remember in prior years the amount of preemptions that we're seeing. From a legislature standpoint, are you able to give, have you ever seen this before? Have you ever seen this kind of precedence? I don't want to start anything, but this seems abnormal. Are you able to comment? I don't want to put you in a position.
I'll comment without saying names. Right? Obviously, I still know people in the process, right? And the general theme that I'm hearing, obviously, we're seeing a lot more preemptions, especially in the areas when it comes to development and things like that. What I am hearing is that, we have 67 counties and I don't know how many hundreds of cities, and they're hearing a lot of instances where people's property rights are being violated based on state law. That's what I'm hearing. And what the only tool that they have at that point is to take it back. That's what I'm hearing. And there's a lot of that occurring from what I'm being told throughout the state, violating people's rights. And the state leaders are looking to take a lot of that back because of the behavior.
Okay, and Councilman Johansson.
I want to kind of add to that, based on my time up in Tallahassee, is that there is statewide a slow to growth movement, and you have basically the legislature and the governor welcoming everybody down, right? So those forces kind of oppose each other. So it's a battle between, come on down, we want economic development and people, right? We're inviting people from everywhere to come down here. And we have people who are down here, whether we were born and raised down here or we came down here later, but we like it the way it is. And we don't want it to get any bigger. We don't want Volusia County to be Orlando. So we fight hard for that, and so these preemptions meet the needs of the state that are inviting people down. I think, as you always hear I do, there's a win-win somehow. There is a compromise or satisficing, if you will, sacrifice and satisfy. But that's not done via sticking people in the eye with suing people back and forth and preempting people back and forth. I think having a candid conversation, not 5 days before session starts, but when session's out of session, to have candid conversations about where we are and where we want to go. We need to understand as a citizenry what the state is trying to do. And if you don't like what the state's trying to do, then change who the state is. If you don't want people invited down here, right now you got somebody who's inviting them, and I still think there's a happy medium. I'm not saying vote the governor out. I tend to believe what he's doing is the right thing to a certain degree. I come from an area of New York that stopped economic development, and that place is dead now. It's like Buffalo was, and where I come from in Rochester, it is. Kodak's gone, Xerox is gone, Bausch & Lomb's gone. All those people are gone, and that place is not a good place to be living. I don't want to drive us to that. So I think there's conversations to be had. We all know our elected representatives to the state. We know Senator Leak. We know Senator Wright. We know Representative Tremont, Partington, Barnaby. We know them. We've had conversations with them. Continue to have those conversations instead of just flying the flag and getting mad at each other. I think there's a compromise in there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's important that we talk to our local people. I met with Mr. Partington on Saturday and shared the same concerns with him, and I think that's important to do that. I think I misunderstood you that you said we should talk about this after the session, not 5 days before?
In general, issues that we know are going to be issues, and we knew based on SB 180 last year, and we did that with SB 180.
Okay.
Not that we knew that 718 was coming up,
No, we didn't.
but you can expect that this session and next session there will be things coming up. We need to work harder, work maybe possibly with our lobbyists, keep your ear to the ground, find out what's happening, go to the FAC meetings, find out what other counties are doing. I know that these representatives and senators don't wake up during committee weeks and decide to do this. So we have to continue to work hard and you know, I'm a military guy. We got to check our intel out and find out what's going on during the year so we can judge and adapt. And we also need to think about what we say in public and how it affects our legislature. Because if we stick our foot in our mouth, and I'm very, very, very capable of doing that, the reaction is, he said this, I'm going to take care of that with a preemption. And I personally believe that the handful of lawsuits got them on edge and started looking at how they can preempt to prevent other lawsuits. So something to think about.
Thank you. Mike Dyer, I don't think this requires adding it to a next agenda, but could you have your staff write a letter or just a memo to the council on CRAs of what options are for ending them? I know that many of them are terming out, in 2035? But they can also be terminated. If you would just let us know that. No, you don't have to do it tomorrow. Just since it's come up and it comes up repeatedly.
Yeah, happy to do that. And I know John Booker's already started the PowerPoint presentation on the legislation. He's already up to slide 12.
Okay. Yeah, and I wanted to thank you. I do hear in the public that we don't do anything with all these bills that come up. You've been letting us know this for weeks and weeks. And you did that last session. We knew about 718 or 180 when it first reared its ugly head and warned us that this could be really bad, and then it got worse. So I appreciate that the staff does that, and just keep doing it. We need to know what's happening. Lastly, July 4th of this year will be our 250th anniversary, and I'm not sure that the county has anything planned or local cities, but I would like to, good, here comes movement. If there's something planned, and if not, how can we work with the cities to celebrate our 250th birthday?
Yes, it was the direction of this council last year to work with the city of DeVary to co-sponsor an event and drone show. So it will be in addition to the fireworks show, but a drone show as well. So we've, Carmen is working on that, and we have a framework in place as to what will be provided and how it will be marketed.
On the 4th?
Yes, sir.
On that date? Okay. Thank you for the update. All right. That's all that I have. It's 12:06, so we will adjourn for lunch and then come back for the workshop.
We're doing a picture?
We're not doing a picture. We're missing somebody, and
Troy. Yeah.
I would say that please keep Troy's family in your prayers. And so the afternoon meeting, if we break at 12 now, do you need any more time downstairs, or is it ready to go?
Need about 20 minutes to transition, so
Okay, why don't we say 1 o'clock?
I think that'd work.
That 1 o'clock, we will have the workshop on the first floor for those of you that want to come.